Hey, before we get into this brand new episode of White Heat presented by Godzilla Media, gotta talk about our good friends over at Mohawk Honda in the Scotia Glenville area of upstate New York, where they always go out of their way to please you. And this is no different as we have reached the holiday season. We just got through Thanksgiving, and now we are moving closer and closer towards the big day, Christmas and the New Year. And right now, it's the 12 days of giving at Mohawk Honda. How does that work? If you've never heard of it before, it's very simple. You go to Mohawk Honda's Facebook page to nominate a charity to receive $5,000. That's right, $5,000. What you got to do is you make sure to comment and tag the charity in the comment section, along with like and sharing their pinned post on their Facebook page. You got from now to December 10th, so it's already underway, about halfway there. So go now before the end of the period this Friday, when Mohawk Honda will be accepting submissions in the comments. Then on December 11th, this coming Saturday as we record, Mohawk Honda will start announcing a charity each day until Christmas Eve, December 24th, as 12 lucky charities will get $5,000 a piece each. So make sure you share your nominations today. And also, a quick announcement that, hey, if you enjoy this podcast as well as other Godzilla Media shows, well, make sure you join Godzilla Media at this year's Christmas party, which is ironically also this Friday, December the 10th. Godzilla Media has partnered with D. Crescenti, Heineken, and Hooters for an exciting celebration. You can join Levac and Gaz as they broadcast live from Hooters on Wolf Road in Colony from 5 to 7 p.m. And if you bring any unwrapped Christmas gift, the staff from Heineken will wrap your gift for you. Plus, if you bring in an unwrapped kid's toy specifically to the event, you'll have a chance to win $150 thanks to D. Crescenti. So make sure you join Godzilla Media's first ever Christmas party to celebrate the holiday season. Enjoy delicious Heineken and share gifts this Friday, December 10th at Hooters. That all being said, hi, folks. How you doing? It's December, and we got a lot of shit to get into. It's episode 28 of White Heat. I'm Brian Katie. That's JJ Alexander. We're rocking and rolling here on a brand new episode of White Heat, presented by Godzilla Media, sponsored by Mohawk Honda and Johnstone Supply. Boy, do we have some clusterfuck shit to get into today.
No shit.
And honestly, I want to go a little. I want to start at the top with something that I just caught this morning.
Okay.
As I was finalizing on my show prep on the air. I'm not sure if you even heard this yet, because usually you catch shit a little before I do. So there's a report coming out from the live shows this weekend for WWE. Apparently, on Saturday evening, Jeff Hardy was involved in the 6-man tag match against Roman Reigns and the Usos, the Bloodline, and he was the face getting the beat down before the hot tag, or at least the first hot tag of the match, if it was, depending on how the match was laid out. So he finally makes the hot tag, and then suddenly Jeff hops the guardrail and is followed by security through the crowd and apparently back into the dressing room area. Now, when it first happened, I'm gonna assume people probably thought, did Jeff get hurt or something? Like, did something go wrong? Did he have a wardrobe malfunction? And obviously, people are gonna think certain things when something like that randomly happens, especially at a live show. Like, it's a very random occurrence for that to happen. Well, reports have since come out from a few fans tweeting about the incident that were in the vicinity that Jeff Hardy went through in the crowd, that Jeff was reeking of booze when he came through. And there's been no report from WWE. There's been no press release. There's been no statement from Jeff Hardy. But they did take him off of last night's live show in Corpus Christi. And it's been radio silence ever since from all parties involved, potentially. Obviously we got what's up?
The report from Mike Johnson, a PW insider, said that he was sent home because of such issues, and they've always been the most reliable source. So
Right.
that's what I'm going with.
Right. And so it's just like, it's just, the reason this strikes me as odd, and even though it is Jeff, it still strikes as random, is that Jeff literally just had a Broken Skull session come out within the last couple of weeks with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And such issues were addressed and discussed directly and indirectly during certain parts of that interview. And all perceptions were over recent weeks and months, and really ever since his return a few years ago with Matt, before Matt wound up leaving and going to AEW, all perceptions seemed like he's clean, he's in a good headspace, he has a greater appreciation for his wife and his kids and all that jazz. And then this happens. I don't even know where to go with this, except the fuck. Like, it's sad. It's sad to start off, but at the same time, it's one of those things where you're not sure if you want to write this off as Jeff being Jeff, or if this is just maybe the problems never got properly addressed before. What are your thoughts from hearing and seeing the reports?
I'm not surprised. This is my surprised face. I've been saying ever since they came back, I said it was a matter of time. Like, and I'm not. It's not to knock anyone that's ever had an addiction issue. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just like a sixth sense I have because I grew up around addicts and I grew up around a business that supplies addicts. Talking about like family business, not wrestling. There's just sometimes you can tell when someone's completely on the straight and narrow, and sometimes you can tell when it's a ruse and they're eventually going to fall back off the wagon. And unfortunately, I knew it was a matter of time with Jeff Hardy. And I hate to sound like an asshole about that, but especially with the fact that Matt decided to up and leave for AEW because he wanted to be his own thing and he didn't want to be part of the act that brought them to the dance anymore. You're taking away a support line, because I guarantee, and this is pure speculation, but I mean, I would guarantee that Jeff keeps in contact with Matt, and Matt all the time is just like, yeah, dude, you should get out of your contract. You should come over here. I'm probably getting a ton of money out of this guy, and, yada, yada, and you only got to work one day a week. And the thing is, like, it doesn't sound appeasing to Jeff because Jeff still got that animal in him where he still wants to be on the road. Like, I don't know. It's a weird situation. I just think that I don't think he has a support system anymore in WWE. Like, obviously, like, he's got workers that are his friends and all that stuff, but it's not like before where he had Matt and he had Shane Helms there and all that stuff, like, to keep an eye on him. So, I don't know where we go from here.
Well, see, here's the thing, because you mentioned Matt. Here's the thing I want to bring up with that. Yeah. When Matt first went to AEW originally, he came in with the Woken, yes, he came with that originally.
Yeah,
but now he's kind of taking a sharp right hand turn back into with the Hardy family. With the Hardy family office, it's very much like the Matt Hardy, a version of Matt Hardy that we saw when he was in Impact. Yeah. Money Matt, essentially, is the best way to put it. So if he's trying to coax Jeff, I don't see what about the Money Matt character he's portraying would be enticing to Jeff to think, oh, there is more creativity here. Because I feel like what Matt's doing right now, he could have just easily done in WWE if he had the cojones to say anything too creative, instead of just relying on an act that eventually got oversaturated with him, and then him and Bray, and then whatever. So there's that part. And then even if you take away the Matt part, if we're going to really consider AEW as an option, he's one of those few veterans where I just kind of go, it doesn't fit for me.
Right.
Like Jeff in AEW does not fit. Like when I try to put one together in my head, it's not equaling two right now. Right. So to me, Jeff, the only options on the table for Jeff, if this leads to an early conclusion of his WWE contract and his services no longer being required, aside from popping through the indie scene for a little bit and then starting to do conventions, like AEW doesn't feel like a good fit. MLW doesn't feel like a great fit.
MLW
Ring of Honor maybe, but I think he'd only work in Ring of Honor if you bring Matt into the equation and have him ditch AEW. Right. Because Jeff is. I'm not saying Jeff couldn't pull off being a great singles competitor again, but I think at this point in his career, he has more limitation because of the fact he's in his early 40s. He can't do this that he used to do 15 years ago. So for him to reach his greatest potential, it has to be with Matt by his side, or somebody that could be of equal connection to Matt with him. So again, AEW doesn't make a whole lot of sense because Matt's a heel, and I don't see Jeff being a good heel.
Right.
MLW doesn't seem like a good fit. Ring of Honor doesn't make a good fit. Japan doesn't make any sense. So that leaves Jeff with the indies and doing conventions and signings.
Right. Exactly. No, like when I was talking about Matt with AEW, like I could see Matt trying to coax him over there, and then they would just end up being the fucking Hardy Boys again, and they would be there for the fucking Bucks to put themselves over for the 1,000th time on them, or for them to be the nostalgia act that does the job to everyone, and then Jeff would ultimately be even less happy.
So I'm going to put out a comparison that you might think is sacrilege to make, but I'm going to make the comparison anyways, because I don't have anything in my memory bank from the 90s when one half of this team was singles and then reunited with his partner at Smoky Mountain and beyond.
Talking about Ricky and Robert?
Yeah. Like, does it have a Rock and Roll Express kind of, like, this isn't me equating the Rock and Roll Express in that they'll still be in the ring competing in 25 years after the fact, because, I mean, you look at Ricky and Robbie, they went through their run in the 80s. Ricky gave singles and tag a shot without Robbie there in the early 90s of WCW.
Right.
And then they eventually reunited and helped with Smoky Mountain when Cornette was running things before that collapsed towards the end of the 90s. And ever since then, they've been kind of on again, off again, going through the indies and doing stuff for NWA now and other stuff like that. So
yeah, they're still working to this day.
Is this kind of like the Rock and Roll Express 2.0 that we're going through with the Hardys at this point, where like they were together, they went their separate ways, so they got together again, now they're back to their separate ways? Like, is this kind of like, could this be one of those things where the Hardy Boys become this generation's version of the Rock and Roll Express, where roads eventually always cross back and they somehow remain relevant on the indies for years and years?
It could. The problem is, though, the Hardy Boys are not going to always be able to work like Ricky and Robert. Ricky and Robert have had longevity because they've always worked smarter, not harder.
Right.
Where they had like their hard-hitting stuff, yes, but they weren't falling off of ladders and through tables.
Oh yeah, the TLC stuff is going to catch up to them eventually and all that jazz. I understand that.
It already has. You can see it in the past 10 years how both of them have slowed down.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And rightfully so, because you can't maintain that pace forever.
Yes.
Which tells you how the Attitude Era, like, as amazing as it was also goddamn terrible because you had talents doing insane shit that normal under regular circumstances should not even be conceptualized, let alone attempted. But even now, like, not on as much regular basis, but you even still see it now. Like, for example, and we'll circle back to this. Like, even a couple of the things, ill-performed or not, that we saw last night on WarGames. Like, that shit that you save for special shots like a WarGames. You can't do it month after month after month on pay-per-view or even on free TV because there was a point in time in the Attitude Era into the beginnings of the Ruthless Aggression Era where it was commonplace to see ladder matches and steel cage matches on free TV, and it's like, what the fuck? What's the point of me getting pay-per-views so I can see steel cage matches and ladder matches on free TV? What the fuck?
Exactly.
Like, it's just I don't know. It's just one of those things where you hope for the best with Jeff. You hope this has become a slippery slope for him back into the pits of where he was before, and just cross your fingers, and that's all we can do at this point. Since we're starting with, so we started with that just because it was one of those things where it was random. It came out of nowhere. The news was kind of like, is it me or has this not really hit a fever pitch yet? Like, I feel like we're hitting this story, like, all the attention last night, and rightfully so because of the way it was staged, all the attention last night was on NXT WarGames for WWE. Makes sense. And I feel like this story has severely flown under the radar, even with WarGames having now passed, as we're recording this around 2 p.m. Eastern. WarGames went off the air 16 hours ago. And it still feels like this story hasn't even really smacked people in the face yet.
Right.
Which makes you wonder, like...
Another issue that I have with it that really hasn't been discussed is the fucking creative team. I put a modicum of blame on them because they are too used to saying, oh, well, if we can take real life and make an angle out of it, we should. And you remember, it was just a year ago that we had the whole Jeff Hardy drunk driver thing with Sheamus and all that shit, where it turned out it wasn't Jeff, but still, they were bringing all that shit up on TV. That has never, ever worked out in the past, where they have taken someone's addiction and turned it into a storyline, and it has ended well in the end. Poor fucking Jake Roberts. Jake was actually fucking clean when they brought him back in the 90s, and then they decided to make the whole fucking angle about him still being a drunk, and he fucking ended up falling off the wagon again.
Wasn't that where he did the thing with Lawler and Lawler poured a bunch of alcohol on him?
Yep.
It's remarkable how...
And to check, same thing. The fucking shit with Scott Hall right before Mania 18 when he was working his program with Austin. And Scott was taking the medication. I forget the name of the
medication that made him vomit when he even smelled alcohol.
And they fucking had Austin fucking douse him in beer, and then he fucking puking his guts out.
First off, that's not even the first time Scott Hall was in an angle like that, because you remember towards the back end of this shit he was doing WCW, they were having him come out with cocktails in his hand or big cans of beer. Like, so that was really the second time somebody tried to pull that shit with Scott Hall.
Exactly.
So you would think you would have learned better from the competition you just buried a couple years prior. That's one. The second thing is it, I know it's not me, so I'm just going to fucking say it. It feels like WWE rehashes that same kind of angle, specifically alcohol related. Like they bring it out of the closet, I wouldn't say once a year necessarily, but it's pretty fucking often. Because let's walk through this. Late 90s was Jake.
That was early 90s.
Well, when he came back was 95, 96, wasn't it?
94, 95, yeah.
Because during that run was when he lost to Austin in the King of the Ring finals. So 96,
yeah,
I think it was. So it was 96, 97. Because I remember he was at 12 and 13, if I remember correctly. Yeah, because 12, he was in the opening 6-man tag. That was an abortion with Vader and Yoko facing each other.
Yeah.
And then 13, I don't remember what the fuck he did in 13. But anyways, then Scott Hall in what, 02, 03, I think that was, with Hall?
02, I think?
Because, 02 would have been WrestleMania 18.
Yeah, so that was 18.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of other examples we had. I mean, we had, Punk, CM Punk is straight edge, but they kind of used it with Punk and Jericho leading up to WrestleMania.
And JBL.
Because Punk Jericho hit him with a bottle of Jack, if you remember.
Yeah.
You mentioned Jeff Hardy. I mean, it's just like they keep circling back to the same shit when it comes to alcohol stuff. They don't. You would think you get to a point where you've helped put so many guys through rehab, some multiple times.
Right.
You would think you get to a point where it's like, you know what? Maybe it's not a good idea to put certain real life shit into our creative.
You'd think.
But lulls, I guess, for them. All right. So, obviously, we'll touch more on this if it develops at all over the next week. You would think it develops somehow because of how under the radar it's gone so far in the first 24 hours that this story has been out, but you never know. We'll see. I guess we'll wait and see both A, if we get a press release from WWE about a statement regarding the issue, or B, we'll just wait and see what the fuck happens Friday on SmackDown. Because that'll be the ultimate test is he on SmackDown? All right, so let's go to a couple things real quick. And we'll circle back to WWE, but I just want to go through we'll kind of round out a few updates involving New Japan, Ring of Honor, Impact. Then we'll touch on any AEW stuff, and I know for a fact there's a couple things we got to touch on. And then we'll circle back to WWE again and discuss a couple notes I have about Raw and SmackDown in their current states, as well as obviously recap NXT WarGames from the night before. That being said,
there's one other WWE related story that broke that didn't happen in the ring.
Go ahead.
Power couple, no more.
Oh, well, fuck off with that.
Well, now the whole IWC doesn't know what to do because they were all get Charlotte to come to AEW and get Flair to come to AEW because of Andrade, and now boom, no more.
All right, fuck it. I guess we'll discuss it now, quick.
That's really all there is to it.
So the news that JJ is referring to is the conjecture's been put out there over the weekend that Charlotte Flair and Andrade El Idolo are no longer engaged and have separated. That's again rumor and conjecture. This is again one of those things though where obviously we'll see what their social media says or whatever, but also one of those things where again, what, something happened on social media that came out?
Yeah, like he unfollowed her and he deleted all the pictures of them together off his Instagram.
Okay, well there you go. So that would do it. I was gonna say we can also wait till Friday to see if there's a ring on her finger still. But anyways, so here's the thing. Let's just be real, okay? Let's keep it 100 because we always do on this show. Number one, Charlotte was never going to leave WWE before her contract ended. Let's put that out there. Number two, even if her contract ended, Charlotte has it so made in WWE, she'd be a fucking moron to try and go to AEW.
Yeah.
Number three, if she went to AEW, she would suddenly realize, holy shit, I'm wrestling people that I wrestle at the PC instead of people that I should be performing against, like Asuka and Becky Lynch and fucking Sasha Banks and Sonya Deville, not Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler. Like, instead of facing world-class talent, I'm facing B-plus talent, to quote Stephanie McMahon. All right? Like, it's a clear step down for her. There's no point in her going to AEW. There never has been a point for her to go to AEW, except for one reason. That's to spite Vince McMahon, which she probably really doesn't, considering the fuck up she has for her father that's been doing stupid shit the last couple of years. So at this point, she want to kiss Vince's ass instead of kicking his ass. That all being said, what'll make me laugh is if we suddenly see the slight abundance of Andrade shit she had in her repertoire suddenly disappearing from her in-ring performances. Yep. That will make me laugh.
Yeah.
Because she was suddenly doing the backflip off the top rope into the backflip from the ring onto the opponent because the opponent rolled out of the way. And just the Judas effect that was really originally done by Andrade when he was at NXT with the elbow. But in the end, let's just have it for what it is. Who fucking cares? Like, I'll just be blunt about it.
Wizards care.
Fuck who you want to fuck. Marry who you want to marry. Reproduce with who you want to reproduce.
Can I do both? Can I do all three with different people?
You gotta run that by your wife. And otherwise, fuck off with your private life when it involves the business. This is why business and personal should never intertwine. Like church and state, keep the shit separate. Like, stop. Well, we discussed that once before, I think, on this show, so we're not gonna get into that. Eddie Hooser. All right, so real quick, New Japan updates. Couple. First off, World Tag League is a clusterfuck right now. World Tag League has 5 teams at 12 points apiece at the top of the table. And another team with, 2 teams with 10 as we enter the final 3 matches for each team in the league. The 5 teams tied in first are Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi, Naito and Sonata, Tai Chi and Zack Sabre Jr., the current tag champs, Great O'Khan and Hanare, and Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens. The 2 teams sitting at 10 apiece are GOD and Evil and Yujiro Takahashi. So it's a clusterfuck, and God only knows how the fuck that's going to work out. Night 9 of the World Tag League, by the way, is tomorrow night. If you're here on the East Coast like we are, it's technically tomorrow morning, the 7th of December. So, God knows how the fuck that's going to pan out with the clusterfuck at the top, but who knows? As far as the Super Juniors is concerned, we've got Show all by himself with 12 points. So he's not as much of a hot streak as he was before in the beginning of this tournament. There's a pair behind him tied at 11 points. It's El Desperado and Hiromu Takahashi, who had a time limit draw against each other at one point this past week. And then there's 4 wrestlers at 10 points apiece. That's Show's former tag team partner Yo, Robbie Eagles, Taiji Ishimori, and El Phantasmo. And their next night for competition is, bear with me for a moment. Nope, that's results, not schedule. Let's see here. Looks like it's going to be I believe it's going to be on Wednesday, the 8th, it looks like. And then the 9th, and then so the whole tour between both the World Tag League and the Best of Super Juniors 28 is going to culminate in a little over a week, next Wednesday the 15th, in Tokyo. So we'll keep our eyes on that and see how that develops. But it's a clusterfuck at the top of both. And honestly, for any of you who have been really watching New Japan since All Elite Wrestling came into existence, are you really shocked by the fact it's a clusterfuck right now? Not fucking really. The one thing that did intrigue me, though, a release came out today that Katsuyori Shibata is scheduled to make a major announcement at the Best of Super Junior World Tag League Finals next Wednesday. Now, Shibata, for those of you who may not remember, towards the tail end of New Japan's love with the, reverse that. The Western world's love of New Japan, towards the end of that, we witnessed Kenta leaving NXT, going back to New Japan, and having Shibata originally as his corner man when Shibata was considered all but done with pro wrestling at one point.
Yeah.
Now, Shibata has made a couple of actual physical appearances inside a ring since then, to the point of where he even had I think it was like a kickboxing fight at the most recent super event that New Japan did. It was something like that with or a grappling match, I think it was, with Zack Sabre Jr. So it's interesting that this is happening. I'm a little concerned of the direction I think the announcement's going to go. I'm just not sure if you're picking up what I'm putting down.
What, that he's going to retire again?
Quite the opposite, I think. And I'm not sure I want to see that.
He's going to go for the fucking title?
Yeah.
Nah. He's gonna go the Bob Sapp route. He's gonna retire. He's gonna become a celebrity over there, and then he'll go and he'll open up his own chain of bakeries all over the country. It'll be called Shibata Bread.
That was an awful joke. That, on a scale of 0 to 100 tomatoes, I was about a 2.
That was an Ed Wood joke.
Shocker.
Like, not as in he made it up, as in I know he would use that.
No shit. Well aware. Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Sorry, I had to check my phone. Apparently, the wife just had a centrifuge explode on her at work. Wonderful.
A centrifuge. Lovely.
The wife's a chemist.
I'm kidding. All right, so we go from one clusterfuck to another. Oh man, I
didn't watch it because I was afraid it was going to be another hour-long Wrestle House.
No, it was actually a show. All right, so the show opens with Cardona coming out and cutting a promo. Then Moose comes out and basically says, "You're nothing better than a mid-carder." Ooh.
Which fucking Moose is never... Moose would not be a main eventer anywhere else in any company.
Thank you. Then we went to Aiden English. Oh, excuse me, Matthew Ruholt. Excuse me. Losing to Chris Sabin. That's cool. And now, of course, because Deonna Purrazzo was at ringside with Matt, you can probably assume who showed up during the match to be in Sabin's corner.
Giant
survey
forehead.
says. I'm assuming you mean Mickey James. Correct.
No, you said Matt. You said Matt Cardona, so I thought it was Chelsea Green. Never mind.
Oh no! I said Matt. Aiden English. Matt.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was still on Cardona there. So my bad.
It's okay. Then Jonah made his debut in a glorified squash. For those who don't know who Jonah is, that was Bronson Reed in NXT. In case you've been living under a fucking rock for the last 4 months. Then he calls out Josh Alexander because he jumped Josh Alexander when he debuted, so you might as well call out the guy that you jumped so that you can, make some storyline sense out of something. Okay, good for you, Impact. You made 1 and 1 for 2. Let's see what else here. What else? So, hi Titus, how are you? So, so then we go through. Listen to this trio of fuckery. So we come out of the Jonah match. We get the backstage chick interviewing the X Division champ Trey Miguel, who was glad he won his match on pay-per-view to keep the title, but was disappointed he didn't pin Macklin to end his undefeated streak in the process. What the fuck? And then, of course, you can probably figure out who jumped him at the end of the segment.
Macklin?
Yeah. From there we went to, for whatever reason, we had to have Ziggy Dice FaceTiming Brian Myers.
Fucking Ziggy Dice. I don't know how that guy keeps getting work.
And then the third segment of this back-to-back-to-back backstage shit was Moose trying to convince Big Cass, W. Morrissey, excuse me, to help him take out Matt Cardona, in exchange, this is a stupid shit, in exchange for a championship opportunity.
I got nothing.
I got nothing either. So, moving on. Rachel Ellering beats Savannah Evans in a singles match. Yeah, whatever. Rich Swann and Willie Mack beat Violent by Design in a tag match. Good for them. Yahoo.
The Violent by Design is basically like the retribution of Impact now. They were fucking hot shit, and now they're just the job guys every week.
Right. And then based off the opening segment, which I forgot to mention, by the way, after Cardona and Moose exchanged words, W. Morrissey came out to try and lay out Cardona, and then Eddie Edwards showed up, which then led to your main event tag team match of Moose and Morrissey against Cardona and Eddie Edwards.
Yay.
So, you remember the clip I showed you of Cardona rolling up Moose for a victory?
Yeah.
That was the finish to that match that I showed you. Huh. I don't know how it got out there, but it got out there, and I showed it to you, whatever. Yeah. So that was the finish of the match, was Cardona rolling up Moose for a surprise victory, and then after the match, Morrissey laid out Moose with a big boot, and they went off the air with Morrissey with the wannabe Diesel fist in the air. Sorry, I had to do my rock impersonation of Kevin Nash for a second. Or what was it, Kevin Nash? No.
Yes.
It was.
It was Rock doing the promo against the 3 NWO guys, and he called Scott Hall Razor Ramon, and then he called Kevin.
Oh yeah, he called him Chico, and then he was like, yeah. Okay, all right. Okay. I got my Rock promos. They all kind of mixed in your head.
WrestleMania 18 as well.
Right, because the whole Hogan match. Right. By the way, quick sidebar, because mentioning Hogan for a quick second by me made me think of this. Quick sidebar. I finally watched the final couple episodes of season 2 of the Ruthless Aggression docuseries that they did on the network for WWE.
Yeah.
And I believe it was the last one. Was about
last one came out last night.
The Shawn Michaels one?
Nope. There's what do you call it? Episode 5 was last night after Takeover. If you kept Takeover on, they aired that as part of it.
I watched all 5. Oh, so 5 was the developmental
OVW, yeah.
Right. So episode 4 was Shawn Michaels' second half of his career and coming back after the back injury. Mm-hmm. And part of it, I'm assuming you saw it by now.
That's the only one I haven't watched.
Oh, so I'm going to spoil part of it for you. Okay.
Whatever. I probably know the bit already.
So they get to the part where for the setup of SummerSlam 2005, Hogan and HBK.
Yep.
And it's a direct quote from Shawn in the documentary.
Yeah.
And talking about the way the match came off.
Yeah.
I have no regrets at all about that.
That's fucking great. I mean, he's basically said that before too.
But the thing is, everybody else is glorifying the match like it was Shawn being this amazing worker, and essentially,
no, it was Shawn overselling everything to be a dick.
They basically were saying, without saying directly, he made chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Yeah,
it's essentially the way everybody was phrasing what they were saying about that match in the documentary. I'm like, wow, we're suddenly shitting on Hogan for no fucking reason.
Well, every time I see anything about that match, and I watch clips, so in training, sometimes you have some guys work by themselves in the ring, and it's called working the Invisible Man.
Right.
Cornette hates because guys have put out videos of themselves doing it, which is that ruins the illusion. And I get that. It's a good practice for guys, especially when it's like when you've got younger students who are like, oh, it's all about like my opponent did this wrong, or my opponent did that wrong. And so then one of us would get in the ring and show them, no, you can work the invisible, like how to work the Invisible Man. And this is how you sell properly. And so
right.
like our guy, like shout out to my boy, Abel Graves, fucking who could never pull off a good match with another person, but wrestled the Invisible Man like no one's business. He did a match one night, like, you know, in the dojo, like no one else was there really, where he had like a 15-minute match with the Invisible Man where he oversold everything. And that's all Sean did. Sean worked the Invisible Man while Hogan stood there.
Hulk was also on his last leg physically at that point, too.
Yes.
So, some would say he was on his last leg before he even came back in 2002, but whatever. We'll leave that alone. Any user. Quickly, Ring of Honor Final Battle this Saturday. Which
I am so confused.
About what?
Well, because they announced the entire match card, and literally every match it says the final match for the TV title, the final match for the tag titles, the final match for the, like, is that part of your tagline? Or are you legit fucking getting rid of all your titles? Like, I understand the company's getting a reboot, but the fuck?
What is it? The proper... Apparently, the proper labeling for this show is... Like, it's not on any of... Well, tagline is what I was going for. The tagline for this show is End of an Era. But it's on none of the marketing merchandise that's out there for the show. Like, they dropped the tagline, The End of an Era, here and there on the stuff that they're posting on the website. The stories about the matches that they booked. But the actual tagline is, like, it's on the pay-per-view poster. It's on nothing. Really on nothing.
I'm trying to, like, hold on, because it was a sponsored post in my fucking Facebook feed from Ring of Honor. I'm trying to find it again.
Like, I'll give you an example. They posted a story on their website, because look at the website right now. One of the stories they posted on the website recently about the Final Battle this weekend was an article about the women's title match coming up.
Yep. Yeah.
And the title of the article reads as follows, quote, Roxy to defend ROH Women's World Title against Willow or Mandy Leone at Final Battle, End of an Era. That's legitimately the entire headline. So, like, they're using the tagline, it's when they pick and choose to, but it's not actually formally part of the show name, if that makes sense.
Like, where the fuck is it? Let me see if it's actually in the event page. Like,
kind of like, I guess the best way for
it was ridiculous how they put everything out. Unless they fucking recanted it because people were complaining.
All right, well, while you do that, I'm going to quickly run through the card as it stands right now. And this is as of post Ring of Honor TV this past weekend. There's still a couple of spots to be figured out here, but this is what it looks like. Apparently during the pre-show there's going to be a 10-person tag match, but it has been formally announced who's in it. We'll see if that still happens, but that's the way the card is labeled as of right now. As far as the main show is concerned, here are the matches in no particular order. The women's match we finally found out over the weekend, it's going to be Roxy defending the ROH Women's World Title against Willow Nightingale. The television title, that's the only thing we don't have a formal opponent for, I don't believe. I'm going to double check
it. That's what I'm trying to find. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything involving, unless it's like a subtopic within one of the. Let's see here.
Like, because I saw, I'm thinking they recanted it because there was literally a sponsored post I saw that had the entire match listing, including who Shane Taylor Promotions was facing, because they're facing Vince and his guys, and Shane Taylor's working another match as well. And they're like, every title was listed there.
Shane Taylor is not in the 6-man tag.
Yeah, he is.
That's not what I see both on the ROH website and on Wikipedia. The ROH website has different people in the 6-man tag. They pulled
the sponsored post then. Because I'm telling you, I'm not making this up, and I know I didn't imagine it because I was reading it going, what the fuck are they doing?
Okay.
And it literally had Shane Taylor Promotions, the three of them versus Vincent Pokar and
Bateman.
Yes.
So here's the card. I mentioned Roxy against Willow. Dalton Castle, I haven't seen anything officially released about who he's going to defend the World Television title against. I've been trying to dig through the ROH website. I haven't found anything. So as of right now, I guess that's to be determined. Josh Woods is defending the Pure Championship against Brian Johnson. The Righteous, like you just mentioned, Vincent, Bateman, and Dutch, they're going to challenge Shane Taylor Promotions for the 6-man tag titles. The STP, though, is being represented by Jasper Kahn, Moses Maddox, and O'Shea Edwards. That's representing Shane Taylor Promotions in that match. And then you mentioned Kenny King and Shane Taylor. They're in with their grudge one-on-one match. The OGK, Taven and Bennett, they're defending the ROH tag titles against the Briscoe brothers, who are trying to get, I believe this is number 12. I believe that would make them 12-time champs if they win. And then, what else here? And then there's a 6-man tag match signed as well that I'm assuming is going to be close to the opening of the show. It's probably going to be a squash. I might be wrong. Eli Isom, Taylor Rustin, Tracy Williams against Brody King, Homicide, and Tony Deppen. Yeah. And then finally, Bandito defending the ROH World title against Jonathan Gresham. Right. Which is intriguing because that begs me to question one thing. Mm-hmm. Hypothetically, let's say that the reset button they're doing in the spring of 2022 is not going to include vacating all their championships.
Okay.
Let's go on that assumption for this example.
All right.
If you're Kerry Silken and Ring of Honor Creative or whoever the fuck, who would you prefer carrying the banner of Ring of Honor as your world champion coming into the reset in the spring? Bandito or Jonathan Gresham?
Gresham.
Thank you. Okay, good. We're on the same page. Excellent. Outstanding. Stupendous. Then we don't have to have a conversation. And I'll give you my reasoning. Because as of right now, Gresham, from the looks of it, is going to have nothing to do with either of the big two companies.
Yep.
For the next 4 months. Mm-hmm. But he's also going to maintain relevancy because of his own company that he's birthing down in Atlanta, I believe it is, with Terminus, where he is using some ROH talent. Like, for example, they just announced over the weekend Jay Lethal is going to be at their debut show in January. Yeah. So keeping your name out there and not going to work for either of the two big companies, I think, are both plus signs to check off as boxes if you're Kerry Silken and the rest of Ring of Honor management.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if you remember when we did our deep dive on the ROH closing their doors hiatus. And I talked about the scenario of them using ROH as a platform for new talent across the country to get scouted.
Right. Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if Terminus became basically like what FIP was to Ring of Honor in the mid 2000s, where it was the tryout ground.
Yes.
To see if they can hang and who they can work with, and have Gresham be like kind of the first eyes on the people to see and get his recommendation as to whether they might work on a TV level.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Bear with me for half a second. I'm trying to find.
But that post has been scrubbed. I cannot find it anywhere.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like I feel like someone made a mistake by putting that shit out and got caught and got nailed for it.
Okay.
Because it literally said like person versus person to determine the final X champion, like for every single title. And I was like, yo, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah. All right. Let's go into. So I was glancing through the results from the Beyond Wrestling event yesterday, and it's gonna transition to a brief topic from the Indies that we're gonna just gloss over in a moment. But I have a question about a particular talent.
Okay.
Do you know anything about this woman named Megan Bain? Because I've seen her get booked around here in New York. I've seen her getting booked around the Northeast, generally speaking, and she was on this card yesterday against who was it? Who did she beat yesterday at this event? Tasha Steelz.
Yeah.
And I feel like she just came out of nowhere post-COVID. Like literally, and this is not me trying to offend her. It's just, I thought I knew all the talents that were brewing and bubbling under the surface on the indie scene in the Northeast.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, post-COVID, like one of the most consistent names of female talents I see getting booked everywhere is Megan Bain. And I just, like, how do you recall her being, like, on that level before COVID? So I don't know. I'll have to look more into it. I'll do my research and report back next week. How about that? I'll do a deep dive into Megan Bain because I feel like there's a conversation to be had about women's wrestling that we can get into.
You're
down the road.
You're shitting me. She's
I
from
hope
fucking
I'm not.
Staven.
Huh?
She's from East Haven, Connecticut.
Okay. What did I miss?
Just so
the fact you never heard of her?
Yeah, that number one, because she's from fucking Staven, which is not that far away from me. And two, but apparently, wow, that's kind of a smite. So there's 2 wrestling schools in Connecticut. One is in Staven. She didn't go there.
Where'd she go?
OVW. Damian Adams trained her.
Huh. Like, let me give you a quick rundown. Because, like, for example, I just Googled her name randomly.
Kind of cute. She has wings on her head.
Yeah, I knew about the wings on her head because she was on that one company that works near me, Immortal. She's been doing shows for them a lot since COVID. But I just, like, she's facing Master Slamovich twice recently. She faced Tasha Steelz, like I mentioned yesterday at Beyond. And then she won the ECWA Women's Super 8 tournament this year. Like, I guess I need to do my research. I don't know.
She's probably almost like she's probably very solid in the ring and just started taking bookings wherever would take her. Especially because
Mary Joseph, she's only 23 years old.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but she probably started taking bookings anywhere that would take her, just because post COVID, like it was, she basically was training like right when COVID happened, and fuck, how am I going to get seen when no one's running? So she just started taking bookings, and
Right.
I mean that's the right way to do stuff. But I mean, it amazes me that, especially because Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling has a school in her backyard. They, like, not literally in her backyard, but in her town. And they run, they would do, they call it Friday Night Alley Fights, where they would do like $5 shows on like almost every Friday. But like, it's
Right.
basically like an open invite for local indie talent to come, just come in and, get some work in front of some people. There's no paying it really, but it's just, it's for exposure. And I'm just amazed she's never really popped up there.
So from what I'm seeing, as you mentioned her training at OVW, she was exclusive to OVW, working there, working shows there, from May of 2019 up through the beginning of 2020. Then she worked a couple of AEW Dark tapings in April and June of this year, once things opened back up from COVID. And then since then, she's been getting bookings against girls like Riley Shepard, Davey Ann, Masha Slamovich a few times, Ty Conti, Deanna Perrazzo, Willow Nightingale, Ashley Vox. I mean, crazy. Crazy.
See what she's doing come spring of next year.
She what?
I should see what she's doing come spring of next year.
You have your real beard. I have my imaginary beard. For those of you not getting the visual, obviously, because if you're listening to the audio only version, you're not seeing the visual. JJ's literally tugging on his beard a little bit, and I'm grabbing the weeds on my chin. Andy Hooser. So since we're on the NDC for a hot second, I want to just put this out there. So if you listen to episode 27, which would be before this episode, which is episode 28. If you didn't listen to episode 27, go to the archives and check it out either on YouTube or Spotify or Google Play, or wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts. I brought up Matt Tremont coming back from the Onita death match and a month later winning his company's championship belt. So here's the update to that, which I'm not sure the thinking behind it. I haven't talked to Matt. I'm not sure if you've talked to Matt, but here's what's happened. So Matt did that a week and a half ago. Since then, Matt came out on social media over the last few days and said, I'm not keeping the belt. I'm vacating it. I'm going to have a one-night, 8-person tournament to crown a new champion at my next show, which I believe he said was January 22nd, which sounds right because that is a Saturday. So he essentially took the belt off Ricky Shane Page only to vacate it and make an 8-man tournament.
So it probably goes along with what I said last week on how RSP probably had some prior commitments over the for the foreseeable future where he wouldn't be able to work for Tremont. And instead of just doing the vacate the belt and all that stuff, and Tremont was already like, well, fuck it, I'm already kind of out of retirement. Let's have one more match between the two of us if we're not going to be able to do this ever again.
Right. Yeah. That'd be the easiest way to set that up. I'm just interested to see what direction that goes in, because I don't know how he feels about this. But considering one of his current champions, I'd assume he's open to the idea. Given the general wave of things going on in New England with indie wrestling.
Yeah.
Would Matt even visit the idea of having females in that tournament?
Absolutely.
This isn't me trying to push for Kennedy Copeland. She's already a champion she's already one of the champions still on his roster. That's not what I'm doing here. But given the fact that she is one of his champions, it kind of makes you think, like, because he mentioned a couple of talents when he made his statement about the title being vacated. Mm-hmm. He mentioned a couple of specific talents, but it just kind of made me think, if he has a women's champion already in a non-women's only division, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
In an open division, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
What would prevent him from trying to put a female in the 8, which is why I've been calling it an 8-person tournament, because I feel like Matt is one of those few bookers that would be open-minded enough to be like, absolutely, let's see how that works.
Yeah. I could see it. I could see Tara Calloway ending up being in that tournament.
Thank you, because that's actually one of the few names I had in my head was Tara. Mm-hmm. The only reason I'm gonna be honest, the two reasons I say that is because one, I feel like she's an amazing representation to be on that card, and secondly, like I just saw her post recently about
she's not retired, she's just selective.
Exactly, and I feel like if she's gonna be selective, that would be a good show to be selective for.
I mean, let's call a spade a spade. She won the ISW title in the H2O building.
Correct.
Just saying.
We're just fantasy booking, folks. No big deal. If you need ideas, Matt, give us a call. Just like if you have
Matt's a good booker. I'm not going to step on his toes.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But hey, if you also need ideas on how to get yourself set up for the winter and keep yourself nice and warm, you should give a call to Johnstone Supply. That was a horrible transition, but fuck it, we're going to roll with it. It's the final month of 2021. It means Christmas is fast approaching, and also means the frigid temperatures are approaching. The frost on the grass and the flowers and the trees and all that jazz. The sub-zero temperatures potentially. You got to make sure your home is safe and warm for the season. For not just you, but also your family. And you can do that with Johnstone Supply in Troy. The Goodman furnaces are back in stock. They're ready to roll out into homes across the Capital District. Not only are they made in America, but they're also the perfect blend of efficiency and dependability for wherever you may live, whether you're in the middle of a city, like Albany or Schenectady or Troy, or you're living out in the middle of nowhere in, say, Broad Albin or Sprakers or anything like that. Yeah. Don't forget, you can also clean out your air filters before your friends and family visit this season, which can be nice and easy, a lot easier than buying a brand new furnace. If you want to find out about ways to purify the air in your home, or just adjust your air filters, or if you just need a brand new furnace, period, before your big holiday events, give them a call at Johnstone Supply in Troy, located on 6th Avenue, open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., or you can give them a call, 518-272-5922. It can be George, Tom, Kev, James, anyone from that crew. They will offer you the best recommendations possible for the heating system in your home. Call them today before you're left out in the cold, literally and figuratively. Johnstone Supply, 6th Avenue in Troy, 518-272-5922. Or you can also check them out on Facebook.com by searching Johnstone Supply in Troy. That being said, speaking about being left out in the cold.
Let me pull up my notes.
I gotta pull up my notes too, because I have a couple of things on my list here to bring up for you. I'm going to start off with the biggest annoyance, because I mentioned how remember how I mentioned during the I mentioned earlier in the show about giving away shit on free TV. You're giving away Bryan Danielson's AEW World Title match on free TV. You're not even going to bother trying to figure out some kind of creative to stretch it out to your Q1 pay-per-view in February or March, whatever the fuck it's going to be. It's not too far away.
Oh, no. According to in their mentality, it's too far away. I honestly thought, and I thought they were going to hold it off until their fucking Saturday fucking super show on fucking TDS. And they're not even doing that.
Oh, the belts, whatever the fuck that's going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, January 8th, I think that is.
Yeah. Like, they couldn't even do that.
They couldn't wait for their ghetto Clash of the Champions show. They had to do it on a free Dynamite. Good job.
Exactly.
Fuckers. I've run out of ways to make excuses for this company. I really have. Like, I try to make excuses once in a while. To the point where I even tried being an actual fan and try to defend them and try to be against the good graces of JJ Alexander. But I've been done run out of excuses for them. I got nothing anymore. As it's getting dark outside and it's fucking 3:00 in the afternoon. Where the fuck is the sun? Winter is coming though. That's probably what. Ha! 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 That's the name of the show. The title match on. That was a horrible pun. Sorry. The only other note I have to bring up, and I'll let you take the wheel with it because I'm just going to say what it is and Jesus take the wheel. Right now, you're Jesus. And don't you fucking say anything smart about that. Cody versus Andrade. Would you like to take the wheel on that one?
I will. I was going to leave that for the fucking cherry on the top of the shit.
Sure. Let's start with the scoops of ice cream. What are your scoops of ice cream?
Okay, so let's start off with, once again, I'm going to point out the whole, we're not sports entertainment, yet they waste so much fucking TV time on shit like having Adam Cole do his entire entrance just to walk back up the ramp to sit on commentary, to not do commentary, to, oh, hey, remember how the Young Bucks were going to be out for the foreseeable future for surgery? Yeah, lulz. And this is why I say that the whole Kenny Omega is going to be out for blah, 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 and we're going to get the finger poke of doom, because it's going to happen. Because the Bucks were off TV for a grand total of 2 weeks. 2 weeks. But they had to have all these surgeries. Bullshit. They're not medically cleared. Bullshit. They were off TV for 2 weeks and said, oh shit, we're not the center of fucking attention anymore. So, boom, here they come again. And then fucking Tony Nese proves why WWE released him. Because he can't cut a fucking promo. Like,
yeah.
And Tony, like, I used to give Tony Nese the benefit of the doubt. He was a New York guy. He was in amazing shape. Was actually happy for him when he got the call to WWE. And then, like, when he got released, was literally the most bitter son of a bitch in the world and told Triple H to go fuck himself on Twitter. I was like, dude, you had a good run there, making decent money. Like, yeah, okay, so you didn't become the main eventer on the fucking A or B show. You still got paid. Like, have some respect for the company that gave you as much time as they did. But no, Tony Nese had to be an asshole. And then he goes on here, direct quote from his promo against fucking Sammy Guevara. Wait till what I do to those ribs come Friday. Are you on mute?
Yeah, sorry. Say that again. I want to make sure I heard that quote correctly.
The last line, because the whole promo was about how he injured Sammy Guevara's ribs, like when he challenged him for the TNT title on Rampage or whatever. Literally, The last line of his promo was, wait till what I do to those ribs come Friday. To which point, I popped up Samuel L. Jackson, English motherfucker, do you speak it?
Yeah.
So then we've got the Gun Club against Sting and Darby.
Oh, Christ.
Who they promote as both teams are undefeated. If both teams are undefeated, why haven't either of them had a tag team title shot? If wins and losses matter, and you can't even say, oh, well, they only have like 5 wins apiece or whatever, because fucking Bryan Danielson only has 5 wins and is fighting for the title. Yeah. And so we get glorified Sting and Billy Gunn. And like, fucking seriously, that match was just ass because Billy Gunn's kids did not get the genetics that he did. And also, Billy Gunn needs to realize just because AEW doesn't test for steroids doesn't mean you can go overboard on them. Because I don't know if you know, as Billy was sporting a fuck ton of back knee. And that is the telltale sign of anabolic steroids.
Right.
Either anabolic steroids or you don't wash your gear and you've got ringworm.
That's good.
Yeah. Let me see here. Sad to watch. Oh yeah, and also it showed. This was proof during that match of why it shows that it shows that Billy Gunn's kids are not ready, and also the reason why you shouldn't go overboard on face paint, Darby. Because literally the first spot in the match, international, boom, off the ropes, fucking Colton Gunn fucking clotheslines him. Then you go a little back up. Colton Gunn's got Darby's entire face print right here under his nipple. Let's just expose the business to show that you didn't fucking actually clothesline him. You're supposed to be able to conceal shit like that. It doesn't look realistic when you've got a giant mark here saying, oh, by the way, he never came close. Just saying. Also, invest in better face paint. Like, seriously, like, you got Mr. I'm a billionaire. You can't afford fucking Hollywood grade face paint. Oh, we'll get to Hollywood grade later. Let's see. Commentary is fucking terrible. I'm trying to remember what that was for.
Can I stop you on that comment?
Go right ahead. Oh, Taz. Go ahead.
We'll get to Taz in a second. Because I know where that's going, and yeah. I think we brought this up on the show not too long ago, but I gotta bring it up again. And I'm pretty sure he wasn't even on the show because there's something going on with him right now. Can we just give up on the JR experiment?
Oh my God, seriously. I agree.
The problem is, though, what they have to fall back on. I love Tony Schiavone, but he doesn't know half the shit they're doing in the ring now these days.
Right. He didn't back then. Remember when they hired Big Show to be a commentary?
Do we need Mike to get hired back in the business? Is that what we need? Make a call to Las Vegas. Mike! Hey! It's Tony K. What's going on? Remember when you covered up Tony Schiavone's ass for not knowing his ass is wrist lock from a wristwatch when it came to Lucha Libre back in the Nitro days? Yeah. We need you to come back because he still doesn't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch when it comes to Lucha Libre. And that's pretty much what the wrestling business is these days in AEW. So, yeah. Iron Mike, come back, please. For fuck's sake.
I mean, if he wants to throw money around, he could always get Josh Barnett. And then Josh Barnett would have more money to fund his Bloodsport fucking pay-per-views.
I think Josh would really do that.
He did it for New Japan. But anyways,
New Japan's a little more respect.
I mean, he did New Japan with JR. That's why I was just like,
Yeah, but I feel like JR was more, how should I say this kindly, on the ball at the time.
I didn't think so.
Compared to now?
I think it seemed like JR was on the ball because his commentary for New Japan was done in post from his house, so he could do alternate takes.
Fair.
He wasn't doing it live.
Fair. I'll still never forget the one show they did in what was it? Was it one of the American shows in California where I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was. It was you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Jay White versus Juice for the US title. and Jay White. This is when Jay White was starting to really become a prick. And he tossed Juice into the guardrail so hard, it pushed the announce set back into JR and Barnett. And Barnett almost lost his shit.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was one of the Long Beach shows, if I remember correctly.
Probably.
From like 3 years ago or something like that. Still one of my favorite moments. Just because you have Jay White, who, looks the part, but when you have Josh Barnett stand up from the fucking desk and start coming at you, it's a whole other breed of animal. So it's like, whoo, boy, sit down. Don't embarrass Jay White. Sit down.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue. You're about to mention Taz.
Yeah. So I remember this commentary is terrible. It was when Taz popped in on commentary and fucking.
He was doing the Scott Steiner math.
He was doing Scott Steiner, but not only that. Okay, dude, it wasn't funny the first time you did it. It wasn't funny the 18th time you did it. Stop trying to sing people's fucking entrance music. Especially when, number one, the lyrics to Ruby Soho are not that hard. Number two, the song has been out for over 20 years. Number three, you can't fucking sing. Stop it. It is annoying as shit. It sounds like the drunk asshole at the bar at karaoke night who won't pick up a mic but will sing over the person who's on the fucking mic.
Oh, I used to hate those people. God damn.
Same here. I used to host karaoke. Trust me. That's what he fucking sounds like. And I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, you can pull this shit on the goddamn YouTube show all you want because nobody watches it. This is your nationally televised product, and you sound like Bush League bullshit.
True.
Like, fuck right off. Seriously, like, I'll admit, when I was a teenager, it was a huge fucking mark for Taz. Huge. Then I got trained by guys from ECW, and I found out how much of a fucking douche he is.
Thanks, Pete.
Nobody has anything good to say about Taz. Nobody. Like, he's just a prick who takes himself too seriously, but also thinks he's the funniest guy in the room.
Oh,
like, imagine every bad Vigo dad joke and put it in a midget, and you have Taz.
That's literally a line only I am going to understand. It's going to completely go over the heads of everyone listening. But fine, okay. I appreciate the inside joke. I appreciate it.
I know. But yeah, so fucking just like stop. Like their entire commentary team across the board is fucking terrible. And unless they actually hire someone professional, like that's not going to change. Like, in all honesty, I would hate to see it happen. I really would. But you know what would give them at least a modicum of fucking relevancy and like as far as it goes is if they stayed off.
Don't say the name. Don't say his name.
I love the man, and I wish he was back out. I wish he was back home. But if they offered some money to Mauro Ranallo,
oh, you had to say the name.
I know. I don't think you'd take it, but he's someone that would get their product over.
For the sake of his mental health, don't.
I know, and that's the issue. But
I'll provide a different option. Come back to NXT.
Oh, I wish. I fucking wish, dude. I wish so much.
You want to talk about putting relevancy on something again?
Exactly.
Not that the announce table lacks relevancy. I'm talking about. Well, we'll get to what I'm talking about in a few. Go ahead, continue.
But yeah, it's proved. Like, you know, when's the last time you saw an announcer that over where the crowd chants what the announcer says? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't have that many good commentators left, like on a national level. Like Gordon Soley's dead, Jim Ross is losing it. Heyman has his job. Fucking, like there's no options. Like, you know, I mean, I know a couple of good play-by-play guys that are on my screen right now, but neither of us would fucking work for those assholes.
I have a question. A very, very way out there hypothetical question.
Uh-huh.
I never see him leaving the cush gig he seems to have right now. But hypothetically, if throwing enough money in the Brinks truck, I don't know how legitimate you think he is, but he's been in the business for about 30 years, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 20, more like 25.
Mm-hmm.
Think Kevin Kelly would ever consider leaving New Japan for AEW?
Maybe.
Like that's the only thing I can think of. And I'm not saying he's at more Ranello level, but I mean, like,
if they offered money to him, or if they offered money to maybe Dave Prazak,
there's just not a whole lot of options out there,
right?
Or how much do you like Ian Riccaboni?
I like Ian.
Or Joe Galli from NWA.
Joe's okay, but I like Ian.
I do like Ian more than Joe. I'll say that. I just think Ian's too loyal to the soil, though. But it's just a hypothetical.
Yeah.
I think Ian will wait this out and take the few months off, be at home with the family, and yeah.
Right.
But again, like that brings back to the point that like it's hard to find legitimate. Unless you can somehow pull off what it seems like WWE has recently pulled off with what's his face on Raw?
The old MMA guy,
Jimmy Smith. If you could find a legitimate sports guy, don't do the Adnan Virk experiment. That was a massive failure. Don't do the Mike Adamle experiment. That was a massive failure. But if you can find somebody who has some kind of combat sports experience, even if it's not pro wrestling, that could make the transition because they understand at least that side of the maneuvers that are being done in the ring,
right?
Then it could work. But I'll tell you this: as much as I loved him at PWG because he fit the format of indie wrestling at the time with them, I would not want to have Excalibur as the main play-by-play guy on a weekly national television show.
No, he's fucking.
We talked about Tony. What are the options are even in the fucking company right now? I don't even know. Like,
Big Show.
No. Let me put it this way: if you're gonna have any current rostered wrestler at the booth, there's only two, maybe. All right, let me put it this way: there's only three guys I would potentially be okay with leaving the roster to go to the booth full time.
Okay.
Jericho, Punk, Colt Cabana. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the start and end of the list. Those three names, nobody else.
Right. But even Jericho is just too concerned with getting himself over.
Right. He's chilling.
When he gets he's a shill, and he's just obnoxious. Yeah. So. I mean, I would love to see a train wreck of them just having Big Show and Mark Henry on commentary, just the two of them. That would be such a beautiful train wreck to go with the beautiful train wreck that's happening in the ring. That it would just be like Mystery Science Theater.
Yikes! All right, so what's next? What's the hot fudge and the caramel sauce on your Sunday for AEW?
That was basically the building up to here comes the main event.
Okay, so now we're getting to the whipped cream and cherry on top.
Yep. So number one. Once again, let's do a hardcore match for no reason other than, these guys were in a 6-man last week. Right. And in a tag match at the last pay-per-view. Like there was no established singles feud between Cody and Andrade. None.
Correct.
So then let's literally have Andrade come out with a fucking knife.
It was a rivalry of happenstance is what we'll call it.
Yeah. Andrade comes out with a fucking knife. Brandishes it right in the fucking camera. And then puts it in the man purse. Dude.
Never to be seen again.
Exactly. Like, you need to understand, like, Drew coming to the ring with a sword is no better. I will say that right now. But at least Drew comes to the ring with a sword, and like everyone scatters, and then like the sword is like taken away or put somewhere. It's not like Drew's coming out to shank a motherfucker every goddamn show.
And it's kind of related to his heritage, whereas the knife has no fucking heritage, has no Mexican significance whatsoever.
Except for drug cartels, because it was a Colombian necktie fucking knife.
Because lulz.
Because lulz, exactly. Stick it in the fucking man purse. Like you do not brandish a fucking blade. Like, no. Like, because then the question is the entire time, like, there was a YouTube video that came around like fucking 10 years ago where it was like shit wrestling fans say. And one of them was like, if it's an Iron Man match, why doesn't Triple H just pull out a gun, shoot Eugene in the face, get DQ'd once, and then pin him 100 times? Why doesn't Andrade just shank Cody in the neck and fucking murder him and then pin him because it's no DQ? Like, that's the element that you do not introduce into shit like that. And then we get to the bullshit of course, Cody has to gig because it's Cody. And then, like, and literally, you see Andrade go for the man purse and doesn't pull out the knife. Like, we know the knife's in there. We saw you put it in there. The fuck is the point? And then we just get the series of plunder for the sake of plunder, Cody gigging for the sake of gigging, and then, of course, Cody needing to take the jabs at WWE once again with the sledgehammer and the golden shovel.
I was hoping you bring up the golden shovel.
Well, because he pulled out the sledgehammer 5 seconds before that.
Oh, Cody. Cody. The act has worn thin. I don't understand how nobody is embracing that yet.
Seriously. Like, stop focusing on the other company. It doesn't matter if you're mentioning it by name or if you're pulling stupid shit like that. People will know what you're referring to. That's not subtlety by any means. And it's fucking ridiculous.
I'm saying everything about Cody. Everything is just worn thin at this point.
Exactly. Fucking, we forgot to mention Arn Anderson fucking falling off the damn stage and almost dying.
Then
fucking Meltzer saying he's going to be required to wear a life alert now. Fuck you, dude.
That's a jerk move.
That's a major jerk move. He's telling you something. Arn may be old and decrepit. He will still break your ass in half.
Yeah.
Fucking Jesus fuck. And so then we get the build to the fucking flaming table spot. Number one, you use the wrong type of table. You can use that kind of table, but those, what do you call it? Nowadays, the wooden banquet tables that you see have a layer of vinyl on the top of them that is varnished to look like wood. Back in the day, the tables that ECW used, back in the kind of banquet tables that you can still find in most older banquet facilities, American Legion, stuff like that, the tables were just, what do you call it? I've still got tables in my church that are like the thick ass wood, but the ones that you get were usually press board, particle board, which is like everything in the 80s was made from, like entertainment centers were made out of and shit, where it's basically just like really concentrated cork board. And you got that, and it was, what do you call it? There wasn't that thick layer of vinyl on the top of it. So that's why flaming table spots look different back then. Also, and I will tell you this from experience, as far as flaming tables go, there is 2 ways to do a flaming table correctly as far as solutions that you use. Brandy used Zippo fluid. You don't use Zippo fluid. 1 second.
Trying to remember where I heard something about this before. Zippo fluid. trying to remember what would so for all the flaming table spots, or just to forget flaming tables, let's even just go right to the, for comparison's sake, the WWE spots from back in the day with Kane and Randy Orton lighting caskets on fire.
Right. So here's what you do. See, there's different levels of Zippo fluid is very concentrated because it's designed to go into Zippo lighters and to last a very long time. Ronson fluid, which Ronson lighters came out before Zippo. Ronson fluid is a thinner solution. It's the same effect, but when you put Ronson fluid on, Ronson fluid is what you put on the table, you light it, and the second contact hits, poof, it goes out. You either do Ronson fluid or you do a solution in a bottle, and you can even use a lighter fluid bottle and put it in there. You do like 75% isopropyl alcohol and 25% grain alcohol. So that way, and I actually learned this. I'll tell you later where I learned this from. But that way, what happens is if it is to touch skin and it lights, it makes a quick pattern and goes out, and it's safe. Those are the two ways you do a flaming table spot correctly. So we had the wrong type of fluid on the wrong type of table. But that's not all. Because people were noticing at the beginning of the match when they did the trash can spot that crap was sticking to Cody's back. And even Taz had to say on commentary, "What the hell's sticking to his back?" Real smart, dude. You didn't get the memo. Because Cody is a fucking dumbass and decided to put flame retardant film on his back, knowing that he was going to do this flaming table spot. And I'll get to why that was stupid on so many levels near the end, but I'll go rewind 3 steps. You're in a fucking street fight. You're in a hardcore match. Andrade came out in a fucking suit. He was wearing a shirt. You could have come out wearing a t-shirt or a fucking wife beater. And that way, you could have done that fucking spot and you would have been fine. You know why? Because you would have been wearing a shirt that would have been soaked in sweat. And you would have been fine. But no, Cody's got to be Mr. Hollywood, because Cody's got to be the center of attention, because Cody didn't get enough love from Dusty because Dusty was on the road all the time. So we have Brandy pop in the ring under a hood and reveals herself to the fanfare of absolutely nobody in that crowd. Nobody cared. Nobody. Puts way too much of the wrong fluid on this table to the point where the referee tells her, "Fucking stop it." Lights the table on fire, lets it start burning on this vinyl material that is not supposed to catch fire. And Cody, who's been wrestling for how many years, who doesn't know the dimensions of his own fucking ring, has the table too close to the corner for the fucking superplex spot to end the match, and ends up going through it himself while Andrade doesn't even touch it. And then what happens? Oh, wait, the table's still on fire and this flame retardant stuff is peeled because I was using the fucking thing, and now there's still fire going on in the ring? You fucking deserved every fucking moment of that. For the amount of stupidity and the amount of ego that went into that entire fucking match. And then, Cody got burned immensely. Look at his back peeling. That was the film. People are fucking stupid. Like, you want to see a bad fire spot? We had a bad fire spot. And it's funny because I actually didn't bring this up back when Dark Side of the Ring was still having this past season. There was an episode of episode on XPW where they talked about a fire spot gone wrong, and I went, "Oh my God, it happened to them too." So I will tell you what happened. Here's a little story for you. 2008. Defiant Pro Wrestling was running its usual shows at the Proving Grounds Dojo on East Main in Waterbury, Connecticut. And there was a burgeoning feud between two talents you might know, Big Jim Sullivan and Len Oddity. And there was a spot on the big Saturday show at the end of the month where the planned spot was for Len to go through a flaming table with thumbtacks on it. It was like an after the match exclamation point spot that was like built. There was a build to it. It wasn't just there. So, and I will omit the name of the person that did this because they're a nice person and because they just were kind of clueless at the time. And they're no longer in the business anyways. We had a student that we told, okay, we need lighter fluid because the bottle of Ronson fluid that we had there was low. I said, okay, so you need to go to the store and you need to get, I was just like, I prefer Ronson fluid. If they only have Zippo fluid, I'll make it work because I'll dilute it. We'll make it work. Goes to the store. Comes back with cans of butane for fucking Bic lighters. And I go, no, this is the wrong stuff. You bought the wrong stuff. Well, this is all they had at the Walgreens. Okay. All right. So don't go to the Walgreens. Go to the grocery store. Take this bottle with you. This is what you're looking for. They come back. And they have a can of charcoal starter. I went, no, that's the wrong stuff. And I said, send them out again. But at that point, I was running people with match. I was running over people's matches in the back, and I had to go do commentary. And I had it set up. I had a Zippo lighter that I put on the edge of the commentary desk, so that way, when the time came, Sullivan could come out, grab the lighter, and do the spot. So unbeknownst to my knowledge, what happened in the back was, because they were short on time and he couldn't go out again, he decided to improvise, and he took the bottle of Ronson fluid and topped it off, which was pretty much 2/3 of the way, with the charcoal starting fluid. Here comes the spot of the match. Fluid on the table. Comes, grabs my lighter, lights the lighter, drops it on the table. Nothing. To which you hear Sullivan go, you got to be fucking kidding me. Back it up one step. Remember how I said thumbtacks? So you know how in wrestling the thumbtacks that get used are or like the silver or copper colored carpet tacks. Mm-hmm. So the same person that we said get these tacks, because we didn't say grocery store, we said go to Walmart. So they bought tacks. They bought plastic backed push pins.
I think that's the part of the story I remember, because I remember Len telling me this story, but he didn't mention the fire part of it. Okay. Oh God.
So the bag was filled with plastic backed push pins. So those are on the table. Fluid's covering the table. Lighter's there. It's not. So he takes the bottle and aims it at the flame to get the flame to spread. And so then all of a sudden the flame starts coming up. And you get flames like a good foot high off of the table and black smoke. And boom, Len gets powerbombed through the table. Now, usually with a flaming table spot that is done correctly, it's table goes in half, poof, fire goes out, dude rolls off.
And just in case, there's usually somebody on standby with like a bottle of water or something like that.
Yeah, that too. Our security forgot about that part too.
Oh my God, that's a clusterfuck and a half.
So goes through the table. Table comes in on Len, still on fire. Len rolls out, still on fire. One security guy runs to the concession stand to get a bottle of water. Another fucking referee comes out from the back with a bottle of water, and fucking I think my commentary partner went with another bottle of water, doused out Len. And then the joke going forward for the next 2 weeks was every time I would walk into the dojo during the week, I would go, "It smells like burnt clown in here." Poor Len was sitting there having fucking just incredible, pulling these plastic-backed push pins out of his back with needle nose pliers, while Jason Knight's drunk ass is pouring natural ice on his back as a joke. Like, oh, it'll disinfect it.
Fucking Jason.
So you see, there's a right way and a wrong way to do a fire spot.
That was the very wrong way.
That was the very wrong way. Cody's was pretty much close to the wrong way.
Minus the thumbtacks.
Yeah.
God damn it. Oh. Any other notes about AEW before I fucking light something on fire?
I forget what Tony Khan said something about them fucking winning the ratings again, and they didn't because that stupid demographic bullshit.
Yeah,
when they actually lost viewers this week.
Yep,
because they went down from like 865 to like 825 or something.
Yeah, I heard something like that.
Yeah, but yeah, and then we get Page versus Danielson for free in 2 weeks.
Because that makes sense.
Yeah, because that makes perfect sense.
All right. Let's try to make sense of something else while we're at it before we get into WWE. I know we're deep in, but I just got to touch on this. NWA had hard times too over the weekend.
Hard times, baby.
So let me just run through this quick to get to the big spot at the end that I need to discuss. Pre-show we had Allison Kay and what's her face? Marty Bell. They retained their NWA World Women's Tag Team Championship in a fatal 4-way. Then we get to something none of us really fucking knew about, apparently. At least me and you didn't know about it until I mentioned it. The NWA is bringing up back the Junior Heavyweight Championship. And Homicide wins a Battle Royal to qualify for the tournament to end the pre-show. And then the opening match of the actual show is another qualifying match with Rhett Titus against everybody's best friend, Austin Aries.
Jesus fuck. Did Billy Corgan not get the memo?
Yeah, apparently not. Aries wins the with the Brainbuster to qualify for the tournament. Then we have Taven and Bennett defeat Aaron Stevens and Kratos in a ROH tag title match, so they retain the titles there. Colby Carino, they defend the ROH titles in the NWA.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right.
Colby Carino beat Doug Williams. And then Mickie James defend the Impact Knockouts title against Kiera Hogan. Obviously, Mickie James retained.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrus defeated Scion in a no DQ match to retain the NWA World Television title. And at some point during the match, the Pope, who was special referee, injured himself. I'll try to follow up on that, but the word is he got hurt at some point during that match. Then Mick Foley comes out. Yeah, then Mick Foley comes out half dressed as Santa Claus to do a promo for whatever reason.
Because lols.
Right. Then Chris Adonis, also known as the artist formerly known as Chris Masters, he successfully defended the national championship against Jadaeus, who was managed by James Mitchell.
Oh, Judas Messias, yeah.
And then La Rebellion defeated The End, which is kind of sad. I was kind of hoping Perro would get the titles, but whatever. Rebellion retained the NWA World Tag Titles in that match. And then okay, this is just a clusterfuck card. Holy shit. Nick Aldis beat Thomas Latimer in a match where the stipulation was if either man got disqualified, they would be suspended for 2 months. Needless to say, nobody got disqualified because Aldis won by pinfall. And then Jazz cut a promo about her retirement and basically shit on WWE's women's division from back in her day. That's fucking great. Right before Camille successfully defends the NWA Women's Championship against Melina. Then finally, Trevor Murdoch retains the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship to 10 pounds of gold against Mike Knox. And to close the show, who attacks Trevor Murdoch to go off the air?
The Indie Belt Collector.
Matt fucking Cardona. Why?
He's literally doing the Kenny Omega bullshit on the Indies.
Fucking why?
Because lulz. Because he'll work anywhere.
Billy, what the fuck, man? Billy! I thought you knew better. Billy! Oh. I just, to connect some dots here, by the way, we went from Ric Flair essentially shitting on WWE when he was at the NWA 75th anniversary show a few months ago in St. Louis to Mick Foley appearing half-dressed as Santa Claus for no fucking reason, and Jazz cutting a promo for her retirement shitting on WWE's women's division when she was there at WWE in 2002 before your women's world title match.
Right, followed by a chick in
Melina, who was
on the roster at the same time Jazz was.
Thank you. Talk about shitting on the product that's about to follow you. God damn.
There was one other clusterfuck besides WarGames that happened this weekend. Triple Mania Regia 2 happened.
Oh, God. Did you see the clips of FTR almost causing a fucking riot during their match?
I haven't watched the clips. I just heard about it.
I just saw random clips online, short clips. They basically almost caused a full-out riot both when they were during their entrance and when they were leaving. Fucking Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Let me try to pull this.
There was nothing of note on that card other than Hijo del Vikingo is the new champion from the vacated.
Right, which we knew they were trying to crown the new. Yeah.
But yeah, besides that,
they had a 6-woman tag team lumberjack match. How the fuck does that work?
Like crap. Having anything besides a singles match as a lumberjack match never works. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, I don't get it. Taya Valkyrie announced that she's returning to AAA and wants to challenge Deonna Purrazzo for the women's title. Yay.
I mean, that's where she made her bread and butter. Good for her.
Lucha Brothers end up losing in a ladder match to FTR. So FTR is still in AAA tag titles. Of course, King Velasquez went over.
Yeah. So now you know that the fucking FTR, the FTR Lucha Brothers is going to go on for the next 3 months in AEW.
Jesus fucking Christ. Did you see the list of people that were... all right. So the match that Hijo del Vikingo won was a 5-way. Did you know this, first of all?
What?
It was a fucking 5-way match.
Yeah. It was supposed to be a 6-way and they couldn't get a 6th person.
Okay. Do you know who the 4 other people were?
Jay Lethal, fucking Samurai Del Sol.
Yep.
I just I remember reading that.
Ring of Honor champ.
The Bandito, and it wasn't Gresham.
One of these things is not like the other when you mention this guy.
I know who it is, but I'm drawing a blank.
Bobby Fish.
Fucking Bobby Fish, yes.
Once again, I say one of these things is not like the other.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me where. Now, again, you and I have different opinions of Bobby. I have a personal relationship with Bobby. I love Bobby. But no offense, Bobby. One of these things is definitely not like the fucking other compared to the other four talents. My point exactly. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Like, Jay, I think it's kind of a stretch for Jay too, but he can make it work because he's worked with Bandito enough to make it work.
Right.
But Jesus H. Christ, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Well, was Andrade too busy after not being set on fire 3 nights earlier? What the fuck are we doing?
Andrade was probably supposed to be the 6th guy, and then they were like, oh, fuck, you severed ties with Charlotte and Flair. We don't want anything to do with you now.
Who gives a fuck?
Because that was name
recognition. One chick's never wrestling. The chick's never wrestling for your company, and the old man doesn't have it anymore in his head from 10 years ago.
Right. But still,
the old man's batshit crazy.
Was in his corner at the last one.
Still, the old man's batshit crazy. What's the point? What's the use?
Because money.
Because fuck it. Speaking of fuck it. Speaking of fuck it. I don't have a whole lot to go over with Raw and SmackDown. But I'll get into fuck it in 4 ways with Raw and SmackDown before we touch on the extreme fuck it, which was WarGames. Fuck it number 1. I love Allen. But AJ Styles being blind looks fucking stupid.
Well, that lasted for 10 minutes.
This is not Jake Roberts being blinded by arrogance from Rick Martel. This is fucking dollar store blind with stupid-ass glasses. Then all of a sudden, oh, it's a miracle. I can see. That's 1. Number 2. What's the fucking point of putting KO into the title match with Big E and Seth Rollins?
So Big E can retain, and they can stretch out Big E and Rollins until the Rumble.
You can accomplish that without having Kevin Owens involved.
They could, but they already have him computed into it, where this way Big E can get the win, and this way it keeps going.
There's a better way to highlight KO here. You know what you can do? Take the U.S. strap off fucking Damian Priest. That's how you highlight Kevin Owens right now. You're putting Kevin Owens into a program that's more convoluted than it needs to be already. Don't fucking do it.
Yeah, but it's basically it's to keep Owens in the main event picture while they're doing the contract renegotiations coming up with him. It's basically to sweeten the pot on that, and basically so that people can say, "Oh, Owens wasn't being used correctly because he's in the main event picture." But it's that this way, it gets Big E to retain a little bit longer because you're putting together a three-way with 1 baby face and 2 heels. Obviously, the baby face is going over because 9 times out of 10, that's the way that works. This way, they can drag out him and Rollins till the Rumble and figure out something to do with KO after that. And that's just the way it is because they're really not sure what to do with KO's character because they turned him heel, but the crowd's cheering him. So they're not quite sure what to do with him because the creative team's stupid.
2 more fuck-its for me from the main roster stuff. The last one from Raw. You're putting Liv Morgan in a lose-lose situation here. Because we know fucking good and well, she ain't touching that title. Let's just call a spade a spade. She ain't touching the belt. So,
and they're giving her away for free next week instead of waiting till day 1.
No, they're giving it away tonight.
Oh, that's right. Oh, sorry, I keep thinking
tonight as we're recording this on Monday, December 6th. Yeah. They're giving it away in 4 hours and 15 minutes when 8 o'clock hits. Fuck me. And then my last fuck it comes from SmackDown. So we're back to the Sami Zayn conspiracy shit with Brock Lesnar and how all that shit went down now.
The whole thing was like, what the fuck? Like, they're trying to push Brock as a babyface. But even a babyface wouldn't pull an asshole move like that. Like even a monster babyface. Like you would do something where let Sammy lose on his own. It wouldn't hurt Sammy to do the job to Roman if they had just done Sammy with Brock in his corner and have fucking Sammy have Sammy blame Brock in some way when Brock didn't do anything. But no, instead you just make Sammy the fucking sacrificial lamb for no reason. Like that made no sense.
Oh.
Like you could have done something much better with that, and they just fucking didn't. They decided,
or even stretched it out a week. Did you have to cram all of it into one fucking show?
Right. It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. And I think what do you call it? Well, the thing with Becky and Liv is they're going to have Becky go over dirty tonight so that Liv can get the fucking match at day one and then lose again.
Lottie fucking da. Anything about the main roster before we touch on WarGames that I didn't touch on already?
It wasn't this week, but apparently it was last week. Fucking Aaliyah puked after her match. Like out there, like in the ring, glamour shot after the match was over, and she fucking went to the side and hurled.
I have nothing.
She pulled a Mikey Batts. I don't know if I ever told you that story.
She pulled a Big Show in OVW.
No, see, Big Show in OVW was at least it was during practice, and he had a bucket out back.
I know. I'm joking.
No. So quick little another old.
Who the fuck is Mikey Batts, by the way?
Trust me, you don't want to know.
Okay.
Yeah. See, Mikey Batts is a piece of shit. I will just put that out there. Like, if he was still working now, he would have gotten Me Too'd like 1,000 times. I will put it at that.
One of those guys.
Oh God! Like we caught him like jacking a girl up against the wall in the locker room. Like, oh yeah. But and Mikey, like, I had to deal with him in my early days in the business because he was one of Bulldog Blansky's boys, and so we had to fucking kowtow to him. So I was actually booked on this show, but it was a Connecticut Championship Wrestling show. I was out. I was at promoting our next show. It was in Staven at the East Haven Academy, which is actually a unused school now, but they'll still rent out the gymnasium. So the Staven Academy was having a CCW show. I will shit you not. Mikey Batts demanded his payday, plus, I am not lying. I am not lying whatsoever. 75 comp tickets. 75.
And the venue held how many?
It's a high school gymnasium. So it can, with the bleachers out, it can hold like 400.
And what year is this?
2005, I believe.
All right, so business back then, I'm assuming they were general admission tickets, first of all.
Yeah, they were GA, yeah.
It's 2005 economics. Anyone special booked on the show?
That show, I believe Mikey Batts was the name on the show because he was appearing on TNA at the time. And he was the hometown guy. I mean, but they were. Let's see. That was the match that had. It was Slick Wagner Brown and Jay Lethal went to a 20-minute time limit in 12 minutes. Yeah, this CCW was never known for good booking.
Okay.
Let's see. Steve Mack was on that show. Trying to think who else was on that show. There's a lot of like Jersey guys who like would get big later, but
okay. So, yeah. All right. So it's the standard show essentially at that point.
Right. But so the main event was Mikey Batts against Dylan Cage. Now, Dylan has since moved down south, so I don't know if you ever got familiar with Dylan. Dylan's an amazing worker. Always has been. Like me and him didn't see eye to eye when I first got in the business, but he's a real asset, and he's great mind for the business. He was trained by Wahoo McDaniel. He's legit related to Tatanka. Like Dylan's always been, Dylan, like, unfortunately, in his early days, he had some demon problems that kept him from ever making it really big. But he used to do well. He did some time in Japan. Great talent. But basically, Mikey Batts was being an asshole because this was the 75 pounds and this was the Jack to Girl up against the wall in the locker room night. So, my mentor, Mike Milano, kind of gave Dylan the Iggy because Dylan worked for us a lot. Dylan was actually one of our part-time trainers when we first opened the school, to get a little snug with Mikey Batts. So Mikey was wearing this like two-piece outfit, like, like the vinyl sleeveless shirt and the vinyl pants or whatever. So Dylan was so stiff with Mikey Batts that in the middle of the match, Mikey Batts like got out of his shirt and puked into it during the match. And then like hid it under the ring. And so when the show was over and I'm helping take down the ring, he's out there like a 12-year-old who had a wet dream trying to conceal the fucking evidence, looking for his fucking shirt that was covered in puke. It was hilarious.
Jesus. I grew up in the wrong area, clearly. Man.
Yeah, the fucking Mike. The only reason Mikey Batts ever got anywhere popular is because he was related to Billy Kidman.
Oh. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Now, let's get to WarGames.
Yeah.
Let's go right in order. Let me scroll down here in my notes here. Yes, I have enough notes to scroll down today. Let's just go from the top. I'm going to bring up 3 specific things. Very specific things. Number 1, as I see Kaylee Ray can't catch a garbage can tosser from 3 feet away to fuck up a spot. Number 2, Raquel Gonzalez clearly needs to ask the artist from knows Braun Strowman how to properly work a fucking fire extinguisher. And number 3, I'm going to sum this up in one very simple phrase. Poor fucking Jade. I want to make sure I got this straight. The table was in a good position. There was enough overhead clearance from top of cage to ceiling. There were no wires or chains that were distracting or impeding her path. So someone explain to me how you fuck up a swanton bomb off the top of the cage onto, I don't even remember who the fuck was on, I think it was JC Jane, onto the girl below on top of a table to the point where you landed sideways on the chick and essentially land shoulder first into the mat and either A, separating your shoulder, B, breaking your clavicle, or C, doing what I fucking did last week when I took a fall outside and fuck up your rotator cuff. Like, bitch, what the fuck? Now, I get she's 20, and we're asking somebody who's being put on the fast track to TV for no fucking reason when she's not ready for it to do something of meaning in a pay-per-view match. But if you're gonna fucking try something, you better know how to fucking do it right or don't do it at all.
Yeah, no shit.
And then on top of that, later on all of a sudden, Io Shirai has an MD in the back of her name, and fucking miraculously, apparently, knows how to treat a shoulder injury mid-match when she's in a fucking cage with weapons and 4 opponents and yanks on Cora Jade's arm to try to miraculously help her, which we later see did nothing because the bitch was still holding the fucking arm the rest of the match. And then I called it with 90 seconds left in the match. I told JJ, motherfucker, she's going to do some bullshit and win this match for her team. And sure enough, what the fuck did we get? Cora Jade with a weak-ass roll-up for the 1-2-3 to end the fucking match. Fuck me sideways 3 times on Sunday.
That whole match was just fucking stupid. It was, number one, in the first 2 minutes of the match, they already missed the crux of what a WarGames match is supposed to be. Because they literally got in there, and the first thing they do is run an international. For those of you that are unfamiliar with inside terms, an international is one of your basic things that you learn when you first start learning how to bump and run the ropes. It's the collar and elbow, side headlock, shoot off the ropes, come back, leap over, shoulder blocker, clothesline, yada yada. That's called an international. When was the last time you saw the Horsemen or the fucking Road Warriors, any of them, do a fucking international inside a WarGames cage? It doesn't happen. WarGames is designed to be a fight, not choreographed. Now, at least with the men's, like, there were spots, but it wasn't like that.
And you're also comparing, hold on, let me think.
I know.
Comparing Dakota Kai and Cora Jade to Johnny fucking Wrestling and Carmelo Hayes.
Exactly. This is a big difference.
Slightly.
Big difference, yeah. So,
but here, that's not even the thing that bugged me the most about the start of the match.
Yeah.
These 2 bitches both walked in with a weapon to start the match.
Uh-huh.
Fuck a build. Just put them in there already with weapons.
And then everybody starts bringing in weapons when they get called in.
And that was the other part of the whole clusterfuck. Now you're wasting, not only are you wasting the time of the wrestlers doing that, you're wasting camera time because you're not showing any action in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Because, to compound that, okay, you're wasting the wrestlers' time trying to get the plunder from under the ring.
Mm-hmm.
You're wasting camera time because that's all they're showing. The woman would stop fucking wrestling.
Yep.
They would have, like, for example, I'm trying to remember correctly. So I think Kaylee Ray was second in the ring, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when Kaylee Ray, Io, Raquel was last in. So when fucking Kaylee Ray comes down, okay, fucking Dakota Kai pretends to be fucked up on the opposite side of the ring when she's clearly not. Mm-hmm. And Cora Jade's just standing there.
Uh-huh.
Just inside the ring from the door. Just watching.
Yep.
Just taking a break. No big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
you know what's sad? You know the reason they had everyone bringing in weapons? That you probably didn't even realize?
Because there was nothing inside the cage to begin with?
No. Because of the because of the new partnership with DraftKings. They mentioned it during the pre-show. Because you can bet on WWE events in DraftKings, which, number one, you should not be able to do because you can't bet on The Walking Dead on fucking DraftKings. So you shouldn't be able to bet on a One of the things you could bet on DraftKings was if someone was going to bring a foreign object into the ring and what foreign objects they were going to bring into the ring.
Correct.
So literally, it's... that is slimy on top of slimy. Like, it's bad booking on top of helping your partner company screw compulsive gamblers out of money.
Well, The only thing I'll defend is that any contest they do involving WWE and DraftKings, it's a free contest. There's never any money involved. Just a heads up. Because
There's never
I've
any
looked
money
at
involved at the beginning, but you can bet actual money on it.
there's no WWE related pools in DraftKings as far as monetarily.
Shell's been winning money on it, dude.
Well, yeah, you can win money on it, but I'm saying like the pools that you get into are free entries. You're winning real money, but they're free entry. There's no entry fee to get into it.
Well, okay, so fine. Take that out of the equation then. Take what
But I
said
understand
out
what you're
of the
saying. I understand
equation on that.
the
You're
basic
still-
concept of what you're saying. I understand that.
You're still basically dictating what's gonna, dictating how the fucking pool's gonna go, which is fucking slimy. That's you're rigging the house. Like, I'm sorry, that's bullshit. And then and also we didn't even touch on the fact of the WarGames cages, the holding cages being in the crowd.
Yeah, that was awkward.
Aesthetically, it looks stupid because literally they only did it because they're like, fuck, we don't have any room on the entranceway to put these two giant cages, and we can't put them off hard cam. So we need to have them visible. So we'll just put them in the fucking bleachers. Like, that is a danger to your talents.
Yep.
Like, plain and simple. Like, it doesn't matter that your crowd is 75% friends and family. It doesn't matter. Something could have gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, at least none of the heels are over enough to warrant that kind of reaction. Anyways,
yeah, but I mean, consider, and I'm just going to pull this out there as an example. Remember when Mandy Rose had that fucking stalker?
Yep.
Imagine if that fucking stalker was at that show, or someone like that stalker was in the crowd at that show, because they're in Florida and the tickets were free.
I know.
The only good spot in that match was when fucking Raquel dropped Dakota into that fucking garbage can and then swung it around. That was funny.
That was funny. That was very funny.
I
did thoroughly enjoy that.
I was doing a running commentary, like DM conversation with you and with Shell at the same time. And the moment fucking Priscilla, Queen of the Trash Bags, comes out and grabs a trash can, I went, "Oh, look, Gigi brought her house."
I shouldn't laugh, but Jesus Christ.
Well, dude, the fucking... It has been irking me, the names of Toxic Attraction since they debuted. Like, okay, we get it, fucking Gigi Dolan, because her and Darby used to be together and they both like Gigi Allen. So each of them has half of the name. But no one in your current child audience or even teenage audience
is going to get the reference.
Knows who Gigi Allen is. Like, Gigi Allen was dead before I got into the fucking punk and hardcore scene. Like, so you're making a reference there that, and once again, with JC Jane.
Yeah.
Because, you know who JC Jane is named after?
Oh, no. Sorry. I thought you were still on the Gigi thing. No, I do not.
JC Jane, because it's funny because Cornette calls her John Wayne Gacy. She's not named after John Wayne Gacy because that's obviously Joe Gacy. JC Jane is named after Stacey Lane, the deceased lead singer of the 80s hair metal band Warrant. Because that's relevant in 2021.
Nope. Unless you really want to... Well, never mind.
Because she looks like a stripper and Cherry Pie is the number one stripper song.
Thank you. You went there, not me.
That's what I do.
Thank you. Tag title match. I want to thank Fabian Eichner. I want to thank Fabian Eichner for saving me from falling asleep in the first half of the show. Yeah. I feel like Imperium brings a certain sense of respectability. Thank the good Lord.
They
for
do.
Tag team wrestling
workers. It's just sad that they can't talk.
True.
Because, but in all honesty, so if you were to take Imperium as is and put down the main roster, if you were to take them either with Walter or replace Walter with Cesaro and give them a mouthpiece you would have a license to print money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's talk of Walter, by the way, making his main roster debut very soon.
I'm hoping it comes to Rumble.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to obviously vary on if and when Imperium drops the belts to somebody. But yeah, I would agree. Well,
I mean, we'll see. You know, MSK finally gets to meet the Shaman on Tuesday, which who knows what the fuck that's going to be now.
Ziggy Dice. No, I'm kidding.
I will fucking murder someone.
It's not.
I will go to jail.
The hair match. Go ahead.
Let's back up. The fucking heel turn after the fucking match.
Oh God, yeah.
Fucking Von Wagner looks so like he didn't look like a dude who was about to turn heel. He looked like a dude going, "Oh wait, it's my spot. Oh wait, it's my spot. Oh wait, it's my spot. Is she supposed to turn around now? I forgot one." Just clueless.
Yeah.
And then okay, so you did something different where Kyle didn't get attacked. He knew it was coming. I don't fucking care. Like Von Wagner is not ready by any means to do anything. Like just because he's second generation doesn't mean he has the talent that his father did.
But you also just shit on a new guy on top of already being shit on.
Right, exactly. Because they had what, 3 matches together as a tag team?
Something
4?
Like that,
3 or 4.
Yeah.
And they had a tag team title match and they lost. And here comes the turn so Kyle can have a cage match against him on Tuesday. Because supposedly Kyle's contract is up. I don't give a fuck. Go. I don't care about Kyle O'Reilly. Go. But I'm sitting here convinced to this day that Wayne Bloom's wife cheated on him with Great Khali one night. Because that motherfucker looks way more like Great Khali than he does Wayne Bloom.
We're going to go past that. The hair match. The hair match, it was what it was.
Yeah, it felt like the end was rushed.
Yes, and the post-match execution felt... yeah.
It was anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was very anticlimactic, incomplete, and...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, at least... Because, like, the last time NXT hair versus hair match was really good. I don't know if you remember. That was Enzo against fucking Alexander Lafort.
Oh, right.
And Lafort ended up at the end fucking not taking the thing, and fucking Louis, Marcus Louis or Marius Louis ended up taking it and getting the hair cream and getting fucking and that would have led to something good if they hadn't released him.
Right.
But that was great because the babyface went over, but the heel kind of slipped out. And you still got something good out of it. But this was just, it was like Duke Hudson hardly has any hair to begin with.
Yeah. Like
they should have done old Southern shit with the hair cream and fucking just put it all over and made him come out looking like, well, because they can't, because that's what Harland looks like. That's the problem.
That's the crux we're going to fall on. That's what we're
going
to
have 2 guys looking the same.
Speaking of that, cruiserweight title match, which was not cruiserweight versus cruiserweight, it was more like an open weight title match. I don't fucking know.
I mean, at least like everyone was worried that they were going to use this as the reason to get rid of the cruiserweight title, and they didn't. At least not yet.
So here's 2 things I take away. Number 1, am I the only one who saw Joe Gacy completely make 0 contact on a kick on Roderick Strong on the apron at one point in that match?
Yeah.
And of course they were zoomed right in on the fucking thing when he clearly missed by that fucking much.
Yeah.
Number 1. Number 2, I have a theory.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed how WWE, in some shape, way, or form, always seems to have that zealot or religious kind of person on their rosters in some shape, way, or form?
Yeah.
Like you have your Waylon Mercy, you have fucking Reverend Devon.
Society, yeah.
You have the Straight Edge Society. Are they trying to... And this is I'm only saying this because it's just the way, just certain mannerisms Joe Gacy has and certain shit he said in his promos. Are they trying to make Joe Gacy their solution to losing Bray Wyatt? Is that what this fucking is at this point?
A little bit. Because,
it's not going to work.
The Wyatt family was basically their own little cult in NXT.
It's not going to fucking work.
It's not. Joe Gacy's a different animal. And if you keep, and because that's the thing is, Bray Wyatt was modeled after Waylon Mercy. And they're kind of doing the other side of the coin of Waylon Mercy with Joe Gacy. Gacy can pull this off. Gacy's just great character work. But it depends on where they go. Because the whole problem with the entire build to this match is you don't know if you don't know if Gacy's supposed to be a baby or a heel.
True. He's still in that tweener stage.
Right. And it's like
nobody can make heads or tails with him.
Right.
So then we get to main event. Now I'll say I had a lot more positives coming out of this match than just about every other match on the card.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the only two above average matches on the card were the tag title match and this match.
Mm-hmm.
First off, your first 5 minutes with Johnny and Carmelo.
Oh yeah.
Can I just do that real quick? Like,
dude, back that up for a second. Johnny coming out to Rebel Heart.
Yeah.
And the amalgamation of his gear.
Yeah.
That was right in the feels.
Yeah. Us and every other person that loves the internet. Yeah.
That and him and Tommaso doing a glorious bomb before the show.
Oh, God. There was so much about yesterday on social media and then the little details about last night where you're just like... And I'll get to the little details in a second.
Yeah.
The Loomis spot was a beautiful touch with Trick Williams.
Yeah.
Because you interweaved something that wasn't even really thought of being interweaved at all until you saw it happen.
Right.
Because Dexter had not been seen
since Trick and Mello injured him.
Right. And then all of a sudden he comes out front of the fucking ring, does the thumbs up spot to Johnny and takes off a Trick behind the curtain. Yeah. Funniest moment in the match is Pete Dunne just standing there watching Braun Breaker not able to open the fucking cage door with the fucking bull cutters.
Yep. Like, bull cutters aren't that hard to use. I've used them on many occasions.
He is a fucking Steiner.
Plus, he was trying to cut the chain instead of the lock. Like, it's easier to cut the lock with the bolt cutters.
I know. Before I get to the ending of the match and my reaction to it, anything within the match stand out to you aside from what I just brought up?
So, number one, I was very happy to see Pete Dunne go to bat for Johnny because Grayson Waller's dumbass busting Johnny's nose open and then Pete going, I got this. And Pete beating Grayson Waller like his mama, his sister, and his auntie all owed them money. Yeah. Like, thank God for Pete Dunne. Like,
I wonder how Grayson Waller's hands feel today.
I wonder how all of him feels today because Pete did not give a fuck. And rightfully so. It was kind of, I didn't say it yesterday because I didn't want to like jinx it in case we actually got a happy ending, which we didn't. I wanted to say like Pete knows they're not going over, so he's teaching all these fucking greenhorns a lesson. And that's why I'm glad that Pete is staying in WWE for the next 3 years as a coach and trainer, because he's going to stretch these fuckers like old British guys do, and they're going to learn.
You're going to learn today.
Exactly. They're going to learn the way Dynamite Kid learned. Like fucking, if you ever read his biography and he talks about how he got stretched, like, yeah, that's the way Pete Dunne's going to be. And that's the way it needs to be. And like I said, Waller and D'Angelo had no business being in that match. They were lost.
Well, we knew that.
They were completely lost. It was fucking sad. I will admit.
Can you tell how lost D'Angelo was when he was struggling to pull off the fucking crowbar swinging neckbreaker thing?
Jesus fuck. And okay,
like what was the point of the crowbar anyways? Like where Was that a thing with D'Angelo at some point before that match?
No.
So it was just a crowbar for crowbar's sake?
It was a crowbar for a crowbar's sake because he's Italian.
Never mind. I'll shut up.
Because we'll break your legs with a crowbar.
Or put your head in a vice.
Let me back up. Yeah, that actually happened.
Tony, I got your head in a fucking vice.
Right. But let me back up a little bit because I want to touch on that too. But let me back up a little bit. I will say, as much as I do not care for him, I agree with you that LA Knight was more impressive last night.
I did forget to mention that, and I completely agree. He
worked.
That was my surprise of the night, was how well he worked that match top to bottom.
He worked like a fired up Southern babyface.
Yeah.
And it worked for him. The only thing I didn't like was him trying to cut a babyface promo. And I'm sorry, but just because you don't know what line to say next, you cannot just use "yeah" as a segue. Because that got annoying really fucking fast because I was saying "yeah" in the middle of every sentence.
That's very true. I'll give you that. But it makes you wonder, what do you do with him after this? Like, do you keep him?
It was like, what, did you listen to too many Rob Zombie albums before this? Yeah!
But it makes you wonder, are they gonna keep going with him in this direction, or are they gonna just bring him right back to heel? They have to at this point.
They're gonna keep him as a babyface because here's the problem before we get to the finish, which actually incorporates into the finish, but still, WarGames is supposed to be the end of the feud, much like Steel Cage and Hell in a Cell are supposed to be the end of the feud.
Right.
What they decided to do was use WarGames as a vehicle last night to start and continue feuds. Now, because going out of this, we are going to see a feud between Pete Dunne and Tony D'Angelo because D'Angelo stole his mouthpiece.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that part. Yeah.
Which, I'm sorry, but if you wanted that, he should have done that a couple of weeks ago. And then fucking during the WarGames match, Dunne would have got it back from him. Plus, number two, it's a plastic mouthpiece. Like, Pete Dunne doesn't have 80 of them. Like, and it's going to be used as the rubber match. So this way, Braun Breaker gets another shot at Tommaso.
Right.
And I'll leave that other part for after. The other thing that made no sense to me was, okay, so, and like I said last week, I said they're going to put these fucking greenhorns over.
Yep, you did.
Because the people doing the creative down there right now don't know the proper way to tell the story with this. And granted, last year's WarGames wasn't that great. But for the most part, anytime there's been an NXT WarGames match, the build has made sense. And the only thing that has come out of it afterwards is possibly a singles push for whoever won to get them in the stratosphere. Like when they had Raquel Gonzalez go over in the women's WarGame match last year, and that helped propel her towards her eventual title run. But so it established, it'll establish someone. You cannot take a WarGames match to establish 4 people who are not ready to be established. I'm sorry, 3 people who are not ready to be established and a prodigy who can get over on his own no matter what. Go ahead.
Can we say that the women's match didn't start or finish anything?
No, all the women's match did is so this way it can prove that Toxic Attraction isn't untouchable and that anybody, Cora Jade has a chance at Mandy Rose, because that's a match I want to see 14 times.
Sorry, I had to bring that up. Continue.
No, I agree. So the other thing that completely negates everything that they did last night was the promo they had Grayson Waller cut 2 weeks ago. When they decided to flip Grayson Waller heel out of nowhere, because he was a babyface and LA Knight was a heel and they double flipped them. They had him on the Lash Legends segment and he decided I'm going to be a heel now because Because Grayson Waller went from being I'm a daredevil who surfs and bungee jumps to I'm fucking I'm Emma.
I'm a prize fighter, basically.
No, Caleb with a K. Tennille Dashwood. I'm basically the male Tennille Dashwood. I'm an influencer.
Oh, yeah.
And the problem he said is it's not about wins and losses anymore. It's about going viral. So he had his big spot with the elbow drop off the top of the cage through the table to go viral. If that's your case, if that's what you're pushing, they didn't need to win because it's not about wins and losses. It's about going viral.
Well, for him.
Right, but still, that's basically what they were trying to use as the crux of the entire team was it's our house now, no matter what you do. So if that's the case and it's no matter what you do, they didn't need to win. And I'm not saying Braun Breaker had to take the pin. Tony D'Angelo is a fucking stunat. He could have taken that pin. Grayson Waller could have taken that pin. It would have kept Mello and Breaker just as strong as they already were. Because all they did last night was hammer home that they want to push these guys, as I said last week, and depress not the entire, but a huge amount of their original fan base who still watches the show, who kept saying, we want the black and gold. And this was basically fucking Kevin Dunn and fucking Gabe Sapolsky going, fuck you, black and gold is dead as far as we're concerned. Sure, we'll keep Tommaso as champ for a while, but fuck you. You can't give a fuck you to your fucking core audience. Because some AEW does that on a weekly basis, and that's why the numbers go down.
Can we also say they gave the perfect finish away and said, fuck you?
Yes. You could have had DIY go over one last time. Because that was a beautiful fucking thing. Was they did the double team and everything, and then the part where Johnny was sacrificing himself so Tommaso could boom. And they could have ended the match right there.
I thought they were, honestly.
No, because that table was still sitting there, and I was just like, but I honestly thought the finish was going to be Tommaso doing either Project Ciampa or Fairy Tale ending through the table, which it looked like he was setting up for. But then here comes Braun, which the problem was Braun was out. It wasn't like Braun was kind of dizzy and stirring. Braun was flat out. And all of a sudden pops up like nothing, like a fucking indie darling, and spears him through the table.
Yep.
And I get, okay, you want to push this kid and you want to give him a win over Ciampa so you can have the rubber match. I get that. This isn't the way it needed to be done.
Nope.
As far as Gargano goes, I don't think he's leaving. I think they dropped too many hints with the Glorious Bomb, with the gear, with him saying in the backstage promo, this is my first War Games and it could very well be my last. I think they dropped too many hints, and the cusp of it is what we did not see is right when they went off the air, Gargano grabbed the mic and said, I'll explain everything on Tuesday. So granted, December 7th is the last day of his 1-week extension.
Mm-hmm.
But I highly doubt anyone with the pea brain of a WWE creative person would give him the outlet to properly say goodbye to the entire company. Not when there's quote unquote non-competition on the other channel. Not when his wife still has a year on her contract. I think the contract negotiations went well, and I think we're going to see a main roster switch. At least that's what I'm fucking hoping. Because if all this was for naught and he's fucking leaving, like, I can't. I just fucking can't.
Can I give a hypothetical?
Go right ahead.
Pardon me while I try to look something up real quick. I have a theory.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure it's a good one, but it's a theory.
Mm-hmm.
Where is Raw located tonight?
I don't know. What, are they in Cleveland or something?
No. That would be a dead giveaway. They're in Memphis.
Okay.
Not the worst fight in the world to take the next day after a pay-per-view coming out of Orlando.
True.
Just a hypothetical.
Yeah.
Could he make the debut tonight and do the explanation tomorrow night? I think that would be rushed personally, but
plus I honestly think he's going to go to SmackDown. I don't think he's going to go to Raw.
I would agree that's the better show for him to be on.
Because
you gotta remember who we're dealing with here.
The only thing I could see him doing on SmackDown on Raw, because well, this is the thing: is the fucking creative team's so stupid. They would do something stupid like bring him up to the main roster as a heel, even though he just had this giant babyface pop. Because the only two things I could see him doing on Raw is rekindling his feud with Damian Priest.
Mm-hmm.
Or because they're stupid and they look at the way guys work and they put him and Finn together as a tag team. Which I wouldn't be against. But they're singles guys.
Right.
And I mean, but granted, I mean, and as much as I don't care for him, you could get a good series, you could get a good feud out of Johnny and AJ.
Have they totally abandoned ship with the AJ and Omos?
No. They're still together, but I mean, there's only so far you can go with that.
I agree.
Because Omos is not ready to go off on his own, and it's boring to see them as a tag team because Omos is boring. They tried and they failed. I could see Johnny having a good fucking feud with Apollo Crews. I could see Johnny having a good feud with a lot of people on Raw. It's just a matter of the mentality of he's too small when he's not, because he's the same size as Finn Balor and Chad Gable.
We're gonna bring Johnny to Raw to have him fight everyone he faced in the Indies 7 years ago.
I mean, that's basically what Raw is nowadays.
Yeah, true.
It's all these guys facing each other they faced on the Indies fucking 7 years ago.
Fair point. Unless your name is Finn.
I mean, because like that's something, and something I've seen it going around, but I've also spoken on it, is I am so sick and fucking tired of people saying that NXT talents get buried or misused when they get up to the main roster, when literally every single champion you have right now, except for Randy Orton, is an NXT alumni. Even fucking Dana Brooke.
Let me run through this out loud. All right, hang on. So Big E.
Sorry, the Usos were FCW. They weren't NXT because they were already up. So okay, except for the Usos and Randy.
Okay, so WWE title is Big E. US title Priest. 24/7 title Dana Brooke. Raw tag titles Riddle and Orton. Orton is one. I think that's it for Raw, right? Oh, the Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
SmackDown.
Women's tag Carmella and Zelina, who were both in NXT.
Correct. SmackDown. Roman Reigns. Check. Charlotte. Check. Usos. That's 2 and 3. IC belt.
Nakamura. Check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Anything else you want to touch on before we wrap shit up here?
The one thing we forgot about on Raw, we had the greatest comeback of the week. We got Miz back.
Oh.
And you know something? Because I actually had this conversation with a friend because they were like, why the fuck are they wasting Edge with Miz? Edge doesn't have a lot left in the tank, and they can't risk Edge on using him with younger guys where he could potentially get really hurt.
Correct.
So they're putting him somewhere safe, and they're putting him in a program with a guy that can talk. And that can pull off a good match. Whether you like Miz or not, Miz is solid in the fucking ring.
You want to know what I'm afraid of?
What?
Because it's WWE. I'm afraid of them wasting Edge at WrestleMania and bringing Beth back into the fold for one more match somehow. And have it be Miz and Maurice against Edge and Beth.
I think that match is going to happen, but I don't think it's going to happen at Mania. That's going to be too long. They'll probably do it at Rumble.
All right, so let's be hypothetical here. Because I want to start trying to forecast this out because it is December, which means we are less than 4 months away. Less than 4 months, actually. April 2nd and 3rd is WrestleMania. So let's start with our first hypothetical about WrestleMania season. Let's say the Miz program ends at Rumble.
Okay.
Where do we line up Edge for Mania?
We figure out something during the Rumble. Because you got to remember, there's always that stopgap in between Rumble and Mania, known as fucking Fastlane, where it should just be called Hot Shot.
Meh.
Fastlane should just be called a Hot Shot because that's literally the way.
I thought they dumped it for this year.
Did they?
I thought they did. I think I trashed the pay-per-view schedule. Hold on.
There's got to be a pay-per-view in between Rumble and Mania. There's no way they would go 2 months without one.
I know we discussed this. It's TBA. It's not unveiled yet.
Right. Which means that they may name it something else, but it's Hot Shot is what it is. They should just call it Hot Shot.
All right, let me scroll through. Let me look at this Raw roster. Oh.
What?
Two names popped right up on me that I didn't even think of right away.
What, AJ?
That's one. What was the other one? You just mentioned him a couple minutes ago.
I just mentioned a bunch of people. What, Gargano? Oh, Balor. Yeah.
I mean, if you have nothing planned for them,
not
a bad way to go.
Yeah.
I'd even put out there possibly. Again, it totally depends on what happens with him coming out of day one and potentially the Rumble. Maybe Kevin Owens.
Maybe.
But I think AJ and Finn are your... If you were to sit down with somebody right now who watches Raw religiously and let's just do a panel, let's just say a panel of 100 hardcore Monday Night Raw fans, and you ask them, based on the roster right now, who your dream match for WrestleMania with Edge would be, AJ and Finn would probably be your top two answers on the board.
Probably.
And then probably Seth and KO mixed in there, like 3 and 4. Or they want to be nostalgic and say, "Oh, give him a title run." No, please no.
High creative team. Here's us getting more ideas again.
He doesn't need it. Doesn't want it. Any hooser.
Oh my God! I just realized.
What?
Because I just said high creative team. We're here for you to steal more shit.
That has been a theme with us, hasn't it?
I didn't even bring up how they ripped off my shit last night.
Oh, right.
So, for people who are unaware, wow, you're gonna get a third indie story from JJ today.
WarGames. I remember. Yeah.
So, if you noticed, all the heels were wearing face paint
Team
for the War Games
2.0.
match. Team 2.0 were all wearing face paint. It was war paint. So, going back, and I'm not saying this is a direct ripoff, but I'm just saying the DVDs are out there, and well, my house is bugged. So, back when Revival Pro Wrestling was still alive, the big build and the big blow off after about a year and a half, no, about a year or so of Carnage was Defiant Inc. against Team RPW, which Team RPW ended up being a completely different team the day of the show because people got snowed out.
Yeah. I remember that. I was there.
Yeah, because it was originally supposed to be the Mac, Chris Camaro, Big O, and I forget who their fourth was supposed to be. I think it was always supposed to be AJ Cruz, and we were trying to keep that secret.
Right.
But then the day of the show, Chris Camaro was snowed out. His flight got snowed in Minnesota. Big O just didn't want to travel up from fucking New York. So Mac was there. So we had to hot shot an angle at the beginning where Mac asked Team Friendship, Scotty Slade and Mark Sherman, for help. And then it was just going to be 4-on-3. And then, of course, AJ Cruz made the big appearance at the end because this was...
And for whatever reason, they put me in the middle of that fucking segment at the start of the show, but whatever.
Yeah, but this was basically the build to get AJ Cruz pushed towards the title.
Correct.
Which we did eventually.
Yes.
See, War Games.
Seasons Beatings, by the way, was the name of the show.
Yep, Seasons Beatings. Now, we did War Games a little differently. We did single cage, and it was elimination.
Correct.
So what happened was, while we're getting ready, our team for Defiant Inc. was going to meet, because we had many members in Defiant Inc., but our team that was going into the cage was Len Oddity, Jim Sullivan, Billy King, and Andy Sweet. So we had Last Call and Tattooed Violence, their two big tag teams, as our hard hitters. So Tattooed Violence always put on, Len always painted, and when Jim tagged with Len, he would always do war paint as well.
Right.
So it was decided in the locker room, why don't everyone have war paint? Literally, I painted, Bobby Ocean wasn't even in the damn match, and I painted his face like Sting. He wanted your dead presidents, but then I fucking did the little streaks, and I'm like, now you're Sting.
You didn't want to feel left out for whatever reason.
Exactly, but so we're like, okay, so we need to, so we're going to do war paint for Billy and Andy. And this is why last night it got brought up. The second we see them coming out, Shell messages me and she goes, which one's going to have the butterfly?
Yep.
Because we decided to be dicks. We're like, oh, we got war paint. But we painted a butterfly on Billy King's face. And we fucking painted Andy Sweet like a cat. And little whiskers, because I think it was either Mecca or Joanna had the little cat ear fucking band, so we borrowed it.
That was Mecca.
It was so Andy Sweet comes out like a cat with a lead pipe. And I'm so pissed I don't have it anymore because my old hard drive got corrupted, but I had the video file of us painting their faces in the locker room with me turning. I'm like, Defiant Inc., the baddest motherfuckers in independent wrestling. Look at this shit. But yeah, we got ripped off.
And behind the curtain, for whatever reason, I decided to be in that locker room. I had to leave because I couldn't take it. I was going to lose my shit if I kept watching them doing this. I had to leave. I couldn't do it.
That show was fun.
That was a shit show and a half, but it was a hilarious shit show.
We had to rebook that whole fucking show because of people canceling because of the snow.
Oh my god. And me getting sent packing. But anyways,
I'm sorry. I wish I had something to do with that to not have it happen.
It wasn't your fault.
But I had lost my stroke with the booker because I wouldn't fuck his wife.
Anyways, anything else you'd like to get off your chest today?
No, I'm good.
All right. That was episode 28 of White Heat, presented by Godzilla Media, sponsored by our good friends at Mohawk Honda and Johnstone Supply. This is an eventful show. Another long one. We'll try to tune it back a little bit next week. Can't promise anything.
It's been good. People like it.
Yeah. Fuck it.
We're
Fuck
the
it, we'll do it
Tantric
live.
podcast. We go all night.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. I mean,
Ah!
shit, if you can watch 3 hours of Raw, you sure as fuck should be able to watch or listen to 3 hours of us.
Yeah,
Anyways.
most people got day jobs, so they're not at home when we do this.
Oh, fuck off. Anyways, Twitter, at JJ_Alexander for him, at Brian Katie for me. If you have any complaints about anything that JJ Alexander said, you can send it to my email, brian.katie@GozillaMedia.com. Yeah, for JJ Alexander, I'm Brian Katie. Enjoy your week, and we'll catch you for episode 29. Later.
Bye-bye.